Hey guys, and welcome! My name is Michael and I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer, and welcome to Heroforge Legendary, where we invite several individuals of legendary note to come along onto our channel and make Heroforge minis, talk all things RPGs, and tell us about themselves. As you can see, no one else was available today, so
Ran out of guests.
I ran out of guests.
Ran out of legendary. Now we're down to just very rare.
Yeah, that's it.
So, make our way down the rarity list of D&D items. I realized I'm taking up too much of your screen, so I've just run off to go get myself a.
Oh, is that it? Oh,
screen.
okay. Well, yeah, you can take up as much or as little of while we're while we're watching.
Less of your amazing screen.
Yeah, this is amazing. There is a lot of screen here. But for those of you who don't know this man, this is none other than the
Hello.
Robert Hartley GM.
Hello.
Hi, Rob.
Now I need to shift this. I'm a totes professional streamer, everybody. I had this prepared.
Yeah, we were absolutely prepared. We just I was okay with you like in the regular one, but
Is it okay with you with the regular? Because it's like you're in the green screen and you've got no screen.
That's because I'm a professional.
I've got a green screen behind me on my channel, but you didn't tell me that I should have a translucent background.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. You'll be fine. Look, if you want to put it up, you put it up. If you don't want to put it up, you're fine. This is just a nice hang. This is a friendly chat-ish.
All right.
But yeah,
I won't put it up. It'll be too much hassle.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Don't hassle.
Then I wouldn't be able to show off.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there you go. And then you got your is this your two sail ship? Is that what you're showing off?
Yeah, that's what I'm showing off my two sail ship.
Oh, very nice. All right. So, as you can see in the background, we have our Robert Hartley that is here. Some of you may recognize this. The inspiration for this was, of course, none other than Mythical Turian, I believe, made the base design of this model, which I then tweaked a little bit here and there. But yeah, so we got that printed and we got that to Rob. I don't remember why I gave it to you. I think it was like a birthday present or a Christmas present or something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. But it was
just
very
a Tuesday
pretty.
present.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday present. Yeah, that sounds about right. And today we're going to be sitting down with Rob and we're going to be making another D&D character. But while we're doing that, of course, we're going to be talking about all things role-playing. So if you've got questions for Robert, or if you've got questions for me, or if you've got questions for the both of us regarding anything RPG related, and of course we're talking about the board games, not the military munition, please throw them out into chat. Let us know.
It's been so long that I've forgotten that RPG was a thing that I'd heard of before tabletop role-playing games.
You know, it was really funny. Actually, while we're talking about the munitions, apparently, through a friend of mine, there's a story in which a guy had walked out on... well, he didn't go AWOL. He finished his service, left with an actual bazooka. Like, he actually left with a bazooka, and then he mounted it on his wall. And he had like too many speeding tickets. So the sheriff showed up at his house and was like, hey, you've got all these these unclaimed parking tickets, and you're being served, and is that a bazooka on your wall? And then he got into like 100 times more trouble because it was like, yeah, he just walked off the base with a bazooka.
Oh, Jesus.
It was a whole thing. He didn't have any rockets for it, obviously, but it was still a bazooka.
Still a working bazooka.
Yeah, it was. So there you go. That's your RPG.
You have a license for that gun?
Yeah,
for this one.
Yeah, that's your RPG related story today. There you go. Memorabilia bazooka, bazookabilia. Yeah, he should have done one of those, like, the little label makers, and then just made like replica and just stuck it on it.
Just stick it on the side.
Win. All right. So, if you have any questions RPG related, start them off with the word question and then ask your question. It'll be the easiest way for us to see. I will try to obviously stay on top of chat as best I can. But yeah, ask away. So, first of all, Rob, there's a question from me, and I think you've probably answered this question a few times, but I want to dig deep into it, and that is, of course, RPGs, role-playing games, and stuff like that had many editions since the 1970s. What was your very, very first edition that you had played, and what was your impression of it your first contact impression of tabletop role playing?
My first time. My first time playing D&D is an easy question to answer because I remember that was fifth edition. Fifth edition, and it was about coming up to 6 years ago, probably somewhere around there. And I loved it. It was heroin in my veins immediately. It was highly addictive stuff right from the very beginning. I had one session playing as a monk, a wood elf monk. What were they called? Tukamil, I called them. Because I was playing a monk, so I was like, I need a name from some sort of famous monk, so I went with Friar Tuck, and then I went Tuck doesn't sound elvish, so I went into the player's handbook and I saw under elven names, I saw something that was like Aramil, so I was like, I took the Amil and I just stuck it on the end of Tuck, so I was Friar Tuckamil. And I had it was like a 4 or 5 hour game or something, and it was just absolute fun, absolutely amazing. I wanted to play it again immediately. But the slightly more difficult question was, did I ever play any role-playing games before that? Because I don't remember if I did or not. Like, I've always kind of been into board games and video games.
Did you ever play any like video game versions of it? Like,
Yeah, so after getting into D&D in a big way, I sort of started going, I can't get my fix of it because nobody's playing D&D and I don't know where to find. I wonder if we can play D&D video games. And then I discovered that Baldur's Gate was a video game based on D&D and realized I played that as a kid. I didn't realize what the relationship was. But yeah, I'd played through like the first half of Baldur's Gate when I was a kid. I've played all kinds of different tabletop games before, board games and things. So I imagine that some of them have role-playing-esque elements. Just kind of
well, anything that has leveling up is effectively, in some small part a role-playing game. It's funny you say that because I did the exact same thing that you did. I did not realize, because I got into RPGs in 2010 and I played 3.5. And the way I did it was in the middle of a thunderstorm. Actually a great hailstorm of Perth. If you ever Google that, the sky literally went green and we hailed for the first time. Like, it was nuts. It was like biblical.
Why green?
I'm not a fucking meteorologist. What do I know? It was just green, okay? but yeah, it was nuts, and the streets were flooded.
Hailstorm.
Lightning. Looked it up.
You're gonna need to see this thing. Comes up straight away. Great hailstorm, Perth.
Yeah.
What? And this was when you were playing D&D for the first time.
That was the day I was playing D&D for the first time. And so
that's very biblical. That is a very like when Arthur touches the sword and the stone and and it lights up, or when Harry gets his wand and it
that's it. Yeah, that was it.
When Diddlesy Gamer, destined to be greatness in the world of TTRPGs, first plays is first.
Yeah, the skies go green. Up, it's like
golf balls, hailstones coming down.
Yeah, because it never happened in Perth before that day.
Holy cow! Some of these photos absolutely terrorized buildings and houses and cars smashed up.
It was Oh man, they were dealing with that stuff for like a decade afterwards. It was nuts. But yeah, I remember because my missus was trying to convince me into getting into D&D, and I said, why would I want to do maths? This like I've got computers to do that for me. And so she tricked me because Pool of Radiance, which was a very old RPG video game, I didn't realize Pool of Radiance was an RPG as well. I hadn't even realized that they were connected to D&D. But she said that the Pool of Radiance video game actually had a 2nd edition module that had a separate adventure story that tied into the video game. And I was like, you mean this story in that game that I had completed when I was a kid that I hadn't seen yet? I was so angry and so excited, and I wanted to get into it, and she ran it for me, and it was amazing. It was, same thing. It was like freaking straight up the nose and into the brain, and that was that was me hooked on freaking D&D forever. And now look at me. It's really funny.
And I haven't woken up since.
It's like one day I'm just going to be there, like, just covered in D20s and just being like, what have I done wrong with my life? Or right with my life.
Right with my life.
Yeah. But you know what? It's really funny because she always says it's very surreal because all of her heroes, because she's a D&D daughter, so her dad played D&D back in the day, and then she was raised with D&D. She says it blows her mind because of all the people that I've got to meet because of where I am in the industry. Are like some of her iconic heroes and stuff like that. She's just like, what do you mean you've just met Nathan Rice? And I'm like, well, I've just met Nathan Rice. Why? It's like, what do you mean you've met Peter Atkinson? It's like, yeah, I met Peter Atkinson. He's really lovely. Him and his partner are just delightful. It's really fun. All right. Well, I don't see any questions from the chat yet. So guys, again, don't feel afraid to throw some stuff out there. And a big shout out and a big thank you to a whole bunch of cheers and bits that have come out. So real quick, Mythical Turian and Classic Sam trying to go toe for toe for gifted subs and bits. Thank you so much. They all donations help the channel and help me grow and help me do stuff. So very, very big appreciations from me for those, you wonderful humans. Speaking of donations, by the way. I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but I had a little fundraiser that was.
But you're gonna bring it up. I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but I'm gonna bring it up.
Yeah, I was totally gonna think about it. The other thing I'm gonna say about that is, because I'm a respectful guy, right? So I'm just, I'm just gonna say it was a good fight. We got there in the end, and that is all. All right. So yes,
I knew you'd get there. I was using reverse psychology. I was forcing people to donate. Rob, suckers, we were playing you. Now you've given us your money, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No backsies.
No backsies. No take backs.
Yeah, actually, Viva's already got that money, so there you go.
Yeah.
But actually, the funniest bit was I'm like, I was very confident that people wanted to troll you enough to make that happen.
You did smash it out way quicker than I thought you would.
Yeah, it's true. I do. It was.
I thought it would come down to like the last few minutes, and then it would be like, and then I'm gonna have to chuck in however much of my own money to finish it off.
Well, that would have been very appreciated. But I also may have had a couple of grand set aside to do stuff with, which now can go to special appearances with you and me. So that was the other thing. So while we were doing the fundraiser and stuff like that, which was amazing, and we got through there, and now there will be my face on the mural, finding a good way to troll you. Once they tell us what the parameters are.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? What are your options so far?
Well, I've been asking the chat for what some good ideas to troll Rob, and the two ones that stood out to me was the one that had me with a crown, best DM.
Fuck.
That was a pretty good one.
That's a good one, but it's not super trollish because you are probably a better chimp than me.
Oh, see, but that's kind of the other one. The other one, which I thought was really funny, was me giving you the middle finger, and then on my shirt with Pathfinder, but then having a little caption saying, "Have I shown you this yet?"
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. But again, we'll see what it is, and then I'll do a big I'll do a big stream where
Best GM is pretty fun on a crown.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That is kind of funny. But yeah, and I love Ben's idea. We should put a motion sensor on the mural roll. and then whenever Rob says, "Rob, go fuck yourself,"
Rob, go fuck yourself.
But that'd be really
fun. They talk about somehow getting it to my fucking DNA just so it only goes off when I walk past.
Yeah, that's now all it needs to do is look for the pastiest person to walk past, and it'll only ever hit you and Adam. I mean,
true. Adam will get a few. Rob, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your D&D character here. So, as some of you may know, on our Patreons, both mine and Rob's, we are doing a show that I say show. It's not really a show. It's actually a game.
Just more of a home game. It feels like
it is a home game. The only reason it's recorded, ironically, is because Santine and Jameson were like, we should record this just in case. Back when we were doing just because we decided we play so many performer games, and it's one thing to perform in a role playing game, and it's another thing to just relax and do whatever. So it's a game with Dread, Rob, myself, Quincy from Quincy's Tavern, and your narrator from your favorite narrator. And it's a food-based game where everyone plays members of a kitchen staff. Now we've already seen Quincy, narrator, and Dread, which brings us finally to the person at the center
best for last
and at the heart. Yes, well, that was very intentional. Also because you're moving house.
Also because I've been very busy.
The center of the whole thing, which is of course the head chef, and that is of course Robert's character. And I'd like to invite Rob now to share that character with you guys.
Well, I'd love to. So am I holding anything back, or am I keeping things secret? Or
hold whatever you would like back. Ooh,
all right,
Lady Rob.
Lady Rob.
All
right, so the character I am playing in that campaign, it's a very fun one. It's a very enjoyable character, but it's not the most pleasant of backstories. So I will give you some trigger warnings now in case you are watching and are triggered by the concept of torture, death, the concept of starvation or withholding food as punishment. These things are inherent to my character's backstory. So trigger warnings for those things. So when Doug got in touch and said like, hey, I want to do a game based around food magic and the magic that is inherent to animals and things. Like you hunt animals and beasts and elementals and monsters and things, and then you prepare them in certain ways and you can unlock magic from them. And I was like, well, awesome, I'm going to have to play some kind of a chef then, some kind of someone that has inherent ties to food. And then I can't remember exactly. Oh, the reason for my class choice being a sorcerer was that I went through all the characters that I've played in D&D, excluding any NPCs that I've only ever played as a dungeon master. As a player, I've played every class except sorcerer and paladin at the time. And so I was like, I'm going to be a sorcerer or a paladin. And then I decided on sorcerer because of the food magic kind of leads itself to the whole idea of the world revolving around the magic of food. Lent itself to sorcerer more than more than paladin. So then I can't exactly remember why I went with undead as the race that I'm playing, but I did. I can't remember the choice behind that, but I decided I'm going to be playing a reborn. Oh, that's why, because I had recently read the sorcerer subclasses in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything during a Robert Reed stream, and I'd read the Shadow Sorcerer subclass and thought that sounds really creepy and fun, and I would like to play a Shadow Sorcerer at some point. So after I'd chosen Sorcerer, I went with Shadow Sorcerer, and then because Shadow Sorcerers have a tie to the Shadow Fell, which is in turn tied to Undeath and Necromancy pretty strongly, I thought I'll sort of lean into that and play an undead Shadow Sorcerer. So I decided I'm going to be playing a reborn, which begs the question when you're trying to come up with your backstory, begs the question of how are you going to how did you die? How did you die, and how did you come back? And where did you get your powers as a sorcerer? So let me see. Did I write it in D&D Beyond, my backstory, or did I know I'd wrote it in Discord, so I can find it there if necessary. I'll tell you my appearance first so that you can start fooling around with Heroforge in the background. I am 5'7", so about average for a human male, I guess, but maybe a little below average. I'm not sure how your averages are in your particular world. 5'7". I'm only 100 pounds. I'm very, very, very thin, emaciated. The way that I died was that I was starved to death, but we'll get into that. Very thin, emaciated, 100 pounds, super scrawny, almost skeletal. I'm gaunt. I've got a slightly jaundiced face. I am almost bald with wispy grey hair. I am not an attractive gentleman. My body is covered in scars and scabs and even a couple of open sores. I wear dark baggy robes under a long dark cloak with a hood to hide my dead appearance when I need to. And in my coat pockets are a series of blocks of incense that help to mask my body's rotting smell. My body is only slightly warm, and I do not breathe unless I make an effort to, unless I consciously think to breathe to try and disguise the fact that I'm dead. I don't breathe involuntarily. My movements are always slow and deliberate, and I walk with the gait of someone quite tired, because I am always tired. That's my physical appearance. So let me talk to you a little about my backstory. Let me find the Discord chat where we talk about these things. What's it called? Olestria. There we are. Not aubergine. Olestria. Wait, no, this is not the right channel. Where's our group chat, mate? Oh, Tales from Olestria. There it is. I found it. All right, let me scroll back up and find where I've written my backstory out, because it's a big one. I got quite into it. Here we go. So once again, in case you're just tuning in and you missed it before, there's a trigger warning here for torture via starvation. My dude is called Shem, S-H-E-M. I was something akin to a human once upon a time, a very long time ago. He remembers only snippets of it, though, as he has lived 3 lifetimes since then. The second lifetime he found was when he found himself in the Shadowfell, for reasons that he has since forgotten. He can't remember why he went to the Shadowfell. There, once he was in the Shadowfell, he lost his humanity slowly, and his mind went even slower. He learned shadow magic, and he started practicing and studying it, unlocking it within himself. I also studied the art of psychic magic and the ability to transmute the different energies of the world. His third life was his worst life. For reasons I will not get into, because of spoilers and things, I made an enemy of someone that I won't get into. And after redacted, where that particular enemy got the better of me, he captured me. He took me to his dungeon and locked me in it and strategically stabbed me to death while maintaining small amounts of healing to any wounds that I inflicted on myself in the dungeon. He kept me alive, kept removing any diseases that I would catch because of my starvation leading to a weakened immune system. For many months, he starved me, and while I watched my muscles waste away to the scrawny skin and bones that I have now, I was constantly left wondering why I wasn't dying. Eventually, I realized that it was part of his magic. The magic of his dungeon was keeping me alive. With necromancy, he was keeping me right on the verge of death, like hanging somebody at the gallows, but allowing his toes to touch the ground so that he never fully dies. I don't know when I actually tipped over to being technically dead, but there wasn't a clear line. It wasn't like one moment I was alive, the next moment I was undead. I was just sort of slipped over that line gradually, and until eventually I realized I couldn't possibly physically be alive anymore. Probably one of the things that indicated it to me would have been that I realized I hadn't breathed all day. Something along those lines, probably. I was in that personal hell for an unknown length of time. It's felt like years to me. It probably was years. Eventually, time just meant nothing to me. And then one day, something happened, and I found myself freed from his dungeon. I'm not going to get into the details of how that happened. Maybe it'll come out in the game. And thus, that was the start of my fourth and current life. I was left with a constant hunger and a need to feed an insatiable belly. My tongue had withered away to dead flesh that cannot taste any longer. And now I'm wandering the world looking for powerful recipes, culinary magic, rare ingredients, and legendary cooking utensils in the hope that one day I will have the understanding and the skills to make the meal I need to regain my humanity. I am, as far as personality goes, I am always hangry. I am short-tempered, I'm irritable, and I have little patience for trivial problems compared to what I've been through, which is most problems. Most problems I come across are trivial compared to the experiences of my life, and so therefore I don't have a lot of patience for people. I am wildly hospitable, though. I am very generous with food. There is always a spare plate at my table, both literally and metaphorically. I will definitely keep food at hand to give to people when needed. If anybody, even my worst enemy, was to even suggest that they were hungry, I would have food for them. I carry food wherever I can, in the other pockets of my coat that don't have incense in them. I will never pass a person begging on the street without making sure that they have enough to eat. Anyone who aligns with my passion and drive for food becomes a quick friend and ally. I have quite the wanderlust, needing to move on and try new recipes as often as possible. I am driven by the need to discover new recipes, discover new food magics. And that's my backstory. As for my personality traits, I'm generous with hospitality. I am always eating offcuts and rinds and eggshell and leftovers from my pockets. I will not let even the ounce of food go to waste. I do not have a compost bin because I am the compost bin. Because of my undead trait of being insatiable with my hunger, it doesn't matter how much I eat, I will never be able to satiate it. However, it doesn't stop me trying. So anytime we are working in our kitchen, chopping away or cracking eggs and whatnot, anything that goes to waste that would be put into a compost instead goes into my deep pockets of the long dark cloak that I wear. And then I can snack on them whenever I'm not doing anything else. I'm pulling out slivers of carrot peeling or whatever and snacking on those. My ideals is that there's always another plate at my table. My bonds are that I will do anything to get my taste back, and secondarily to be able to satiate my hunger. Most importantly to me is that it pains me that I can't taste things very well. Everything is muted down to almost non-existent. My flaws are that I am irritable, short-tempered, and hangry. I am always tired and easy to fatigue, and I have little sympathy for trivial problems. As for my career, I am the head chef of a small, not doing too well restaurant bar situation called, where the hell's my notes? I'm gonna have to.
The Fairy Fire.
Fairy Fire, that's right. Yeah, the Fairy Fire. The Fairy Fire is the name of our restaurant. I'm the head chef there, but one of equal standing with the other chefs there, namely the grill cook. And whatever Satine and Jameson decide they're going to be, if and when they ever join this game. I'm sure that one of them may be like a pastry chef or something. We need different specialities of our chefs. We also have...
You need a chef de poisson.
Chef de poisson, of course.
Extra points if you can tell me what it is.
It's a fish cook.
Yes. Good.
It literally means fish chef.
It does. I realized, you know what? I felt so dumb when I was researching, like, what are the different positions? Chef de grille. I was like, I wonder.
Chef de grille.
What the hell is chef de grille? It's almost like, yeah, chef de poisson. It's like they were not clever with it. It's not like culinary master of the ocean's tier. They're not really quite that poetic. It's just you fish cook. You, grill cook.
Oi, fish boy.
Fish boy.
I'm chef de soup. What does this guy do?
Yes. But they sound so sexy too. Like, like sommelier.
Sommelier.
What are you?
We'd have a sommelier, did we? I imagine Dread's character would obviously know quite a bit about wine, but he's not specifically a sommelier.
I would love to. If I were playing in this game, I would definitely have wanted to play a sommelier. And then had someone who just uses firearms, but instead of firearms, it's like just he uncorks like champagne. Bang!
That would be pretty awesome.
That'd be just kind of fun. All right. Oh, we got a couple of questions from chat, so let's throw them out there. And guys, remember, as always, if you have questions, like Fancy Unicorn did, start it with a question, and I guarantee you I will see it, and we will add it to the list. So, the first question here comes from Creative Garden. Is this food game one that has a planned number of games, or do you go to a certain character level, or however many, how long years, or whatever it takes? Good question. As far as as the GM, am concerned, I set my goal for the year. Like I wanted to see where we're at. It is supposed to be a long form campaign as a mental health exercise for myself and my players. So honestly, the game is just so much fun. I could definitely see it going longer, like easy. And I would be absolutely thrilled to do so. But I know that obviously because everyone is like so busy. Like this table's like a miracle table, right? It's like one of those ones where
Yeah.
like we said, Satine and Jameson are crazy busy. They were actually again one of the reasons why we created this table is because we realized after the first game that after the first time we'd done it, just how important it was to just not be on stream and not have to be on for an audience.
Yeah.
That started off this idea. So so right now, tentatively a year, definitely, but with prospects of going longer, at least for me. If you had a decision on this, Rob, what would you like to see for this game? I mean, we've only played once. We've got
yeah, it's hard to know because it's only done once. I would love to see this a long-term thing, like not just because with the 12 shot pirate one, I'm constantly aware of the fact that we're going to go 2 levels, 3 levels at most, sort of thing. It's going to be over in 12 games, and there's not there's that end in sight. There's the end is already set up. I would love for this one to just be like it'll end when it comes to a natural progression, whether that's 5 levels or 20. We'll see how it goes. I do have aspirations to play Shem for a long time and see what happens with him.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. And you know what? I'm actually a big advocate of that as well because like I love mid to high level gaming. I do, and nothing. It is very very sad, I guess, on our end of the table when you like get invited to like a one shot or like something that's a small season. And the small seasons make sense, but the small seasons are for our audience more than anything else, just to kind of obviously, nothing's worse than like this is actually one thing I think Critical Role does wrong, which is you come in and if you're a first time viewer and you're looking at like episode 130 something, you sit there and you're like, I had no idea what's going on. Right. Whereas if you've got a 12 episode series, at any point in time, you could go back and watch the start and that's the nature of it. But it does limit you in the sense that, you've got an end date, you've got an expiration date for any character you play. So yeah, I agree. I think a long form thing with like lots of levels is always fun. And if actually, here's another question for you: what level do you feel is like the best level to be at for let's say D&D 5e? Yeah, I mean like let's talk two purposes. Let's say what level do you as a GM like to have your players at? Like what is the most fun? And this can be like let's say it's a 3-level spread, right? What level do you like to have your players at so that you get the most out of your games as a GM?
If it is a one shot, then it has to be the best one shots are like anywhere between 4 and 7, I'd say, because you've got enough stuff that you can have had like a character that you've made, and you've got like an idea, and you've had a couple of chances for your for your ASIs, feats and things. Your stats are going to be okay. You've got the first couple of your class features, but you've not got so much that it's overwhelming because in a one shot that you've only got 3 or 4 hours for, you don't want to be having the sorts of combats that can happen when you have anything above double digit levels when turns take forever because this person can do 17 different things on his turn because he's just such a high level, or damage alone can take 5 minutes to calculate because of all the things that I can do with smite. And so for one shots I'd say somewhere around 4 to 7, but for like long campaigns I enjoy when my players get to somewhere between like 6 and 10 kind of thing. because they've got more stuff they can do. They've developed their characters. They've got good ideas of where their characters are going and plans for the future. And I can really start to put things into play with very dangerous monsters that can force them to retreat and stuff. I can use a lot higher monsters without necessarily one-shotting them. Because if you're a level 10 and I use a monster that's challenger in 15, I can make that seem like that's really dangerous and you shouldn't fight it without killing you. Whereas if you're at level 3 and I use a challenger in 8, I could try and give that a feeling of you're going to have to run away because this guy's not meant to be fought yet. But I might just accidentally kill you because of the way that the damage rolls. So yeah, I feel like the players are more solidly safe between like levels 7 and 10 or something, so that you can use a wider range of monsters on them. And by the time you're 7 and 10, you can still use low level 2 monsters on them, and just now bulk them up. And they wouldn't have. You might have fought one carrion crawler back when you were level 3, but now you're going to fight a nest of 12 carrion crawlers, because you're level 7 or you're level 10. So I don't know. I think somewhere around the mid game is my favorite. But that said, I haven't really had a chance to play with high tier campaigns before. The only high tier campaign I can think of that I've run is the one shot that I ran for Dread and M. That's available over on my YouTube blog. That was a level 15 one shot, and it was fantastic. So you know, there are exceptions. It's not like I will only run one shots at level 4 to 6. I think we can get some very interesting one shots at level 15.
Yeah,
but
I think
Dread and M, there were only 2 players, and they were both level 15. So I think that's why it worked. If there would have been 4 to 6 players, and they were all level 15, it would have just been, we wouldn't have achieved anything in that 4 hours that we had.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's always going to be circumstances that are going to affect and impact exactly like how effective particular levels are going to be. And I also agree. I think mid-level games are pretty nice. Like I love level 10. Level 10 is definitely one of my all-time favorites. Anywhere between 10 and 12 is good. Mostly because I feel like at that point you're really getting into the being a hero, you know. Like I feel like early levels you're kind of like a person aspiring to and trying to become one.
Yeah.
And by the time you're level like 6 to like 8-ish, you're kind of like finding your feet and creating your identity. But by the time you're level 10, you are hero. You are someone that people rely on. And
you entered the tier where people will have a statue of you in the local town because you saved them and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Fancy reminds me, I did run a one shot at level 20 once, but again that was for 2 people, 2 players, both at level 20, so it made it much more bearable to not have to wait for ages for your turn.
Yeah. I had a level 20 game that I ran for a friend of mine's birthday many years ago now, and I made the mistake of having a full team. It was a one shot. It was a bunch of level 20s, and the mistake I made was the birthday boy really liked the leadership feat from 3.5 and really enjoyed the Thrall Herder prestige class, and he basically min-maxed the crap out of it. So he had not only the adventuring party that he invited to his birthday, but he also had literally he literally had like another separate party. Like he had a level 18 monk and a level 18 paladin, a level 18 wizard, and he had his his level 20 character. And then by the time I think it literally, not figuratively, literally took over an hour to eventually get to another player's turn.
Jesus.
It was a very, very poignant lesson I learned about high level games, and how to handle summons, I guess. All right. Well, I've started.
A lot of people loving this belt chicken, by the way.
Oh yeah, well that's good. I mean, belt chicken was like, I was like, what do we put on his belt? And I was like, oh, I don't know. What do you think? Are we kind of in the right vein? I mean, again, this is something
I think so. I love that he's chopping an onion. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I was kind of.
I don't know why Heroforge has an onion in your hand, but it's amazing. I don't know why they have that as an option, but they do, and it's for this particular reason. I love it.
Yeah, and I
turnip.
Yeah, and I mean, like, obviously, I could make like a whole freaking cutting board and stuff like that. It's very involved to do so, but I thought it'd be really cool if like he was chopping onions over this cauldron.
Over the cauldron, yeah.
And like the pieces were just dropping in. I realized that the onion also isn't skinned.
Yeah, because you don't waste the skin. There's lots of nutrients in the skin.
That's exactly.
Like when like potatoes, I never peel my potatoes anymore since A, it appeals to my laziness, and B, apparently a lot of the nutrients are like skin deep in a potato. So
there you go. Well, actually, it is. One of the things that and here is a Dead Aussie Gamer recipe that's always a killer. If you're ever making mashed potatoes, one, don't buy it from the store, right? Like, actually get some potatoes, right, and scoop out all of the lovely flesh from the potato, chop it and dice it, boil it, and then microwave it, and then boil it again. That'll make it nice and soft. Mix it with butter, etc., etc., etc. But then with the skin, season the skin and put it in the oven on a high heat until it crisps up. Then crush it up and mix it in with the potatoes. Seriously, one of the best freaking things. Like, you get the mashed potatoes and then you get that little, like, almost like potato chip crunch, like, in the middle of it. It's so good.
You heard me when I said it appeals to my laziness, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I said I was too lazy to peel potato. And now you're telling me I should scoop out and mash and boil and remash and twice boil and then microwave and then take it to Mars and then crisp.
Yeah, you gotta and don't forget to play Careless Whispers on a boombox while it's simmering as well. Like, it's the only way to go about it. Have you seen the squeaky chicken guy make music with it? Yes, I've seen them. They're hilarious. Okay, so what do you think about the chef tote? Tote? I don't know how to say it.
The hat.
The hat.
Chef hat.
Chef hat. How do you feel about the chef hat?
I didn't know the word for that. Is it taupe or tote? Tote, or is it hat? Just say hat. I'm not sure. I saw it and I thought that's kind of cool. And I kind of like the stereotypical nature of it. He would only ever wear it in the restaurant. Obviously, he would put his hood up to try and like disguise his undead face when he's out and about.
Yeah, that's kind of where that's kind of where I
like it that we're in. Yeah, I kind of like it that we're in the restaurant. He's cutting up He's cutting up ingredients for the meal he's making. I like it.
All right, that's very cool. All right.
Can we zoom in on his face? Let me see his gaunt looks. Yeah, I like it with the cracked lips and the very sunken eyes.
Yeah. Now, if you want, what we can actually do is we can
very stern, kind of hangry expression. No time for silliness.
We could actually go proper undead with this as well.
No, I looked at that when I was mucking about with Heroforge for this guy as well, but he definitely has a nose. It's not like it's fallen off. He's not a zombie. I like that one. It's a good link of he's gaunt enough to have. He's definitely got cracked lips and things.
Nice. And there's actually stuff we can do in terms of, well, when we get into colorations, we can look at like things like bruising and stuff like that, which we can add some discoloration so that there's a little bit more.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a little bit more texture, but yeah, we'll get to that. I guess. What do you think about the outfit? You know, like just in general, like because this one's actually the messenger boy outfit, like with the strap and stuff like that.
What did I say about his clothes? Let's have a look. Dark baggy robes under a long dark coat. So yeah, the long dark cloak is fine as long as that's the sort of thing that he could shove over his hands, over his shoulders to bring around.
That's kind of why I had it.
But like, then when he's working, he can shove it back behind him to get out of his way. Yeah, I like the little apron with the pockets, very chef-like. The only thing that I'm wondering is the sort of bandolier-esque belt down his chest. Like, I'm not sure what would that be holding? Do you reckon? Is that holding up the belt chicken? Is he?
It could be holding up the belt chicken. It could be.
Actually, it could be he's just got a side. He holds up. He's like for when he's going to market and he needs to bring back something relatively heavy, like an animal.
That is true. And we can
straps it over. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, well, I mean, I was also imagining something under the cloak as well, if there's anything.
The boots work, yeah. The boots work for me as well. Gloves. He wears gloves when he's.
Yep.
You have gone? Yeah, you have. Good.
Yep.
Yeah, he wears gloves when he's working because he doesn't want to risk his undead flesh getting on the food.
Yep. And yes, we will be doing this in color, and these will be printed in color as well.
I like it.
So I'm just gonna give white for the time being, just so that we have a goal. But then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a color base, and then we're gonna fiddle around with the colors. But we do have another question from chat, and by the way, chat, please do keep those questions coming. The next question is, will you guys be playing Overcooked in order to practice for this game?
I do like Overcooked.
Really? No one plays Overcooked with me here. You know,
I like Overcooked.
I love Overcooked.
Times at parties, it's a good party game. Oh. I've played it with Tals a few times. She's fantastic with it. It's so fun to play games with her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, tomatoes! Tomatoes screaming at each other. I need tomatoes! Why'd you put it on the floor? I don't want a tomato on the floor. God damn it, the rats are running off with it. I need another tomato. Quickly! It's burning! It's burning! There's one on fire! Oh God, get out of my way.
Oh, amazing. I love it, and I've got the I think I've got the first and the second one, and I think I've played both of them just by myself.
Toke, apparently, with a Q. Toke.
Toke.
Not a tote or a taupe. A toke.
Yep, we were just incorrect there. That is what we were. We were just
the best mashed potatoes are ones that other people have made for you. Yeah, I do like mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes the next day, fried in a sandwich. You ever had that? Fried mashed potato sandwich? It's exactly what it sounds like. You take the leftover mashed potato from the night before and you stick it between two bread and you fry it in a pan, shallow, like just with a bit of butter in the pan, and you squidge it right down. Yeah,
that does sound really nice.
It's called a toque, but I mean, we all know what a hat is. That's true.
That's true. But you know, like it's the pleasure of being French is you get to make up words and then laugh
words
and then laugh as the English try to say them. Like, oh, you see, he is trying to say these basic things. Hey, you white boy, say cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sac. Hey, Odd Bandicoot, nice to see you.
He throws himself into his work. Like pieces of himself.
I did play it with my friend Tristan, as Suze is now pointing out, because she's in chat ready to call out my shit apparently. I did play a little bit with a friend of mine who comes over, but he lives like an hour drive away from me.
So like next door.
That's just next door, basically. Just up the road is what we say in Perth. Like he lives up the road. Yeah, that's it. All right, so we got some basic colors here just to kind of get us going.
My character does wear a mask as well, but I don't think we should put it on the mini just because it's. I was just mentioning to him. Yeah, I do actually wear a face mask at pretty much all times as this guy. Because he doesn't like people knowing that he's undead.
Do you know what's really cool is they've just released a really cool mask. I think, not that I'd use it, but I just still think it's a really cool mask. This one here.
Ooh.
That's really cool. And, you know, I could kind of imagine, like, it being made of wood. Do you know what I mean? That'd be very cool. Because this is the other skull mask, and I'm like, that kind of makes me feel like Brother Blood, you know, from, like, the Batman DC era sort of thing. But, yeah, I think that kind of works.
No, I wear one of these face masks.
Oh, like the ninja mask kind of things.
Yeah, I have my eyes out and they're dark and sullen, but yeah, like that. That's my guy. But I think can you zoom in on those? I want to see if I actually prefer it to having not that going.
All right, so that one, and that one.
Go to the. I imagine that one would be the one that he wears. He wears something like that when he's out and about, like shopping from markets and stuff. But and he does wear it when he's actually cooking because he doesn't want to risk his own and you don't want to risk befouling the food in any way.
I'd say the outlaw one would work a little bit better because it's low enough that you can actually see the bags on his eyes.
Right. Yeah.
That would be my only recommendation for that one.
Go the other one again. Right. Yeah. This one just looks like he's got high cheekbones.
Yeah. Whereas that one?
That one looks like he's really got sunken. Yeah. I agree actually.
Mm.
I don't know. Should we keep that? I kind of like it actually.
Yeah, I'm happy for it. I think that
yeah,
adds,
I like that.
Definitely adds something to it.
Yeah, I like that. Let's keep the mask on.
All right. The Plague Doctor's mask. That mask you only live in the kitchen.
He looked too much like the warlock from the other game.
Yeah,
Plague Doctor's mask.
That's true. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about RPGs and food. One of the basic premises that we have for the show that the game that I'm running is the idea that magic and food go closely hand in hand. I've always felt that potions are crap, especially in D&D, for many reasons. Firstly is that for some reason potions are considered magic items, which means that they are like these consumable one-shot, like, you know, rarity type things, which I till this day I've never seen a GM play that way. And then secondly is it's just such a boring thing. Like, here's a bottle of hit points, you know, here is a bottle thing. What is your take on the idea that we've had of D&D food being magical as well, like consumable items being?
Yeah, I love it because since you said it, I've been wondering if there's ways for me to make food more interesting in D&D, because one of the ideas I had for D&D logic was like taking the piss out of the fact that nobody really puts too much effort into thinking about their everyday logistics as adventurers, because, you know, you can tick off 1 rations, and even that's like nobody really counts rations. So and that's like a whole day. Oh yeah, that's enough food for a day. And then even further than that, you've got spells designed to make it even easier to ignore food. Like, I've got Goodberry, and you take a single berry and you're fine for the day. Keep adventuring. Make yourself most efficient person possible. So yeah, I think there is elements of the eating aspect of D&D roleplay that kind of goes unnoticed. And there are don't get me wrong, there are players who will spend quite a lot of time deliberating over what they should order at the tavern when they go for a meal, but it's not, they're kind of the exception, in my opinion, in my experience. So if there's ways that we can change the food to be like, hey, depending on what you eat and how much you're willing to spend on it, you might actually get like temporary buffs, and that does tie in with my need, my sort of instinctive need as a DM to use temporary magics and consumable magics rather than permanent magics. I much prefer giving out scrolls and potions and wands that will run out, so that they can, and if I give them out enough, then they can be like, oh, I'll just use this thing now because I've got it, and another one will come along in the immediate future. And food can be that. Let's eat this thing, get a little temporary hit points, and then it's gone.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And I think it should be a little bit more of a feature into in role playing games. I think having the idea that I did was entirely based on the fact that up until a certain point, I'd only ever really experienced food when I was about to lose it. You know, like you're about to head into the deserts of Angmar.
Yeah.
How many rations do you have?
Yeah.
The same as when I created this character. Why?
Yeah. However many this character started with, because I've not thought about food once.
Yeah, you know, and that's just very much the speed that it tends to be at, and then turning it into something that is so visceral. And I mean, for me, I didn't want to punish players for not what do you call it? I didn't want to punish players for not not keeping track of like their food and stuff like that. But at the same time, I wanted them to start embracing like a love of food. I want them to look
Yeah.
for it. I want them to like actually
Yeah.
on their own be proactive with it. So that's what got me into thinking about like buffs and stuff like that. Like, yes, you can go and buy a healing potion, but if you go and sit down and eat this gourmet meal, it's going to be worth a lot more. And they can even give you takeout, you know, like, and you know, stuff like that, which you know,
Yeah, like for a minor spoiler, but more of a tease for the first episode that you can find on our Patreons. There was a shot of some sort of like cherry espresso thing that that acts in a similar way to a healing potion, but with an added effect, an added bonus that we didn't realize until it kicked in. And so like we are then encouraged to go and get that rather than go and get a healing potion, or to work out the recipe to make that in future so that we can use them rather than healing potions.
Yeah, and that's the nature of the whole thing, you know, like about taking those liberties and being able to like sort of be like, cool, now we're gonna make our own recipe, which is great. Because again, another thing that I think, you know, people don't generally do as well, which I would love to see more people do, is create custom spells and abilities and items and stuff like that with their GM.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I have always been open to, and I've had one player take me up on it in my DMing career. He between he and I, we came up with like 3 or 4 different spells that he wanted for his druid character, but nobody else is that interested. It seems we've got so many spells in D&D that they're always just happy to be like, I'll just use this. People don't tend to, and it could be a product of me not really using downtime too much in my games. Like there's always something going on in my games. There's always plot hooks going on, which makes people really hesitant to ever just be like, let's take a week to do nothing and learn a new language or practice a skill or do some research or make a new spell. Because there's always something going on, and all of my players are always so worried about like if we stop and take a week, then the bad guys get a week as well.
That's true. That's true.
So it could be partly that as to why my players don't tend to want to take downtime and like brew. They don't. Nobody's ever taken me up on my brewing rules essentially, and the creation of new spells and things like that.
Oh, that's very true. I definitely think See, for me, downtime is. I guess we don't give enough time to think about downtime for ourselves either. You know, like in a way, as a GM, I know I'm very guilty of this. I tend to rush my downtime. Not that I don't have it, but like, all right, cool.
Easy to montage it or skip over it, isn't it?
Yeah. And because of that, I realize like, you know, when you're in combat, you've got like a lot of time to sort of really ruminate over what you want to do, the actions you want to take. And then eventually you get to the point where you're like, okay, cool, well, I will do this. And then eventually you come up with the actions. But when you're in the downtime, you kind of in the back of your head as a player always know that no one wants to be here doing downtime. And so you kind of like, do I really need anything? And then you're like, nah, I'm fine. Okay, let's keep moving. You know what I mean?
Let's just keep moving, yeah.
Yeah, instead of like, yeah, again, absorbing like brewing rules or this, that, and the other.
Yeah. It could also be that I pace my games pretty quick by having lots of cities and towns all close together, like within a day. I saw a map of when I was clearing up and tidying around. I came across my map that came with the Eberron book, and I unfolded it to have a good look. And it was an entire map of a continent, and the cities that were listed, or the towns, the settlements. I worked it out from the scale at the side, and they must be like a week's travel apart on horseback. And I was like, so people to get from one place to another must be just like traveling for a week. And if you had a place like that in your world instead of like things that are a day apart, maybe it would encourage people to be a little bit more relaxed about taking a week of downtime, because it's like, well, we're going to have to travel a week to get to this other thing. So it's not like the bad guy, his plans can be achieving that much in a week. Because he can't even get from one town to another in a week. So, so if we take a week of downtime, then we're only one town behind him, kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So yeah, I think like scaling up my world might help with encouraging downtime as well, because you'd get more used to in the game. You'd get more used to people having to sort of montage over a week, because you're like, well, you're traveling for a week. Do we just want to skip to the end, or is there anything you want to do while you're traveling? And if you're in the back of a cart while you're traveling or something, you don't actually have to actively be steering or whatever. Then you might take a week of whittling or composing your next poem or something, and actually use that week of downtime.
Yeah, absolutely. Or in our case, like, you know, coming up with new spells and the like.
Yeah. Weasel Queen asked a question a while ago that we missed.
Yes.
Question for Rob, but it's actually for Dag. How does this character evade health inspectors? Like, I don't think a guy's flesh is literally rotting off would be allowed in the kitchen. I don't believe that. I think the answer would probably be, and correct me if I'm wrong, they evade health inspectors by being in the medieval times when health inspectors aren't really a thing. Like, are there health inspectors that would come and shut us down? Do they know that I'm undead? Do they just accept it because undead is kind of an accepted part of your society?
I think that's actually a really good question. Health inspection in D&D. Food quality.
We're gonna have to come up with rules for how it works in your world.
Yeah, look, I mean that's actually a good point, and I don't mind doing a bit of world building. I would say that in my particular campaign setting, at least the time in which it's set, food magic is only just kind of emerging, as it were. Like it's like food magic actually has a very deep history, which I'm not going to go into because that's spoiler territory.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of like actual restaurants providing magic cuisine and stuff like that, this is relatively new, and it is the starting of a whole bunch of stuff. So people need to then, I guess, are now going to be looking at quality control, meaning that the gourmet guild, as it were, or the guild of gourmands, or whatever you want to call it, will likely begin having like critics go around and afford ratings, kind of like the Michelin stars. I think that would be as far or as close to the health inspectors as they go, because
Right.
because honestly, like with a magical world, right? Let's go look at Ratatouille, for example, right? In our world, we have our health standards because, you know, this is just how it is. Whereas in a fantasy world, we have things like remove disease, we have purify food and water as spells, we have a whole bunch of different stuff, and we even have the ability to awaken mice to actually cook.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
like a Ratatouille awakened mouse could literally be a thing in D&D.
Yeah.
People wouldn't necessarily bat an eyelid, like depending on how rare magic is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in this particular instance,
you've got like cat people and lion people and
exactly
rabbit people that would all be working in kitchens.
Yeah, and having a quote unquote, like, let's say having a hair in your food would be a less of a health concern and more of a quality concern.
They're called hair and gone, not just hairs. Having a hair and gone in your food. It's like, open, ding, and he's like, hello.
It's like, there's a hair in my soup.
What's this hair doing in my soup? It looks like
look, he's paid rent. He's fine. Just eat around him.
Yeah, so it'd be like, hey, this is not a health problem, but it's like I shouldn't have to have a hair in my food. It's a quality problem.
Yeah, and I think that'd be where I'd look at it.
And so you'd get like the A to E rating of like quality, but not of like health. Like you're not going to get sick from eating here, and if you do, there's a cleric down the road. Just don't, like food poisoning. There's paladins who can do lay on hands, remove poison and disease.
Yeah.
So I get around it by the quality of my food being good enough that people are willing to overlook it, I guess. And that's another reason that I keep myself covered when I'm out and about, and keep herbs and stuff in my pockets to disguise my smell. Like I don't like to draw attention to the fact that I am an undead cook. I have mentioned multiple times in that first session already that I never leave through the front door of our establishment. I only ever enter and leave through the back door. So that it's less obvious to people who don't know already that the head chef here is undead. And because we keep the place, the actual like eating part of the establishment is kept nice and tidy and clean and free of disease and odor.
Yes. Nope, I agree.
Speaking of odor, Elbran asks, has combating my odor been addressed? Yeah, I mentioned at the top that I constantly wearing a very long cloak that's got hoods and pockets, and in the pockets of this long cloak, I have blocks of incense. I should carry several blocks of incense in my pockets that are always emitting a sort of potpourri kind of a smell that does not remove but masks the some of the smell of my decay. Besides, I'm not really actively decaying anymore. I'm long since putrefaction. I've been undead for many years, so it's not like I'm still falling apart or anything.
Well, you say that, and then there was that trip to the coffee shop with that poor dwarf who was trying to enjoy his freaking breakfast.
That's because I did that on purpose.
I just discarded bits.
I discarded bits of myself on purpose to dissuade customers from a rival's business.
Can I just say I love the fact that you guys, for some reason or other, just took offense to these guys who were just running a coffee shop.
Those guys.
Yeah. That was it. It was just like, it's like, what did they ever do to you? But to hell with
I don't know, but we decided we had to have a rival.
Yeah, but to hell with you guys. You just yeah. I mean, you made the mistake of being in the vicinity.
Says one of her characters recently ate a whole jar of pickled eggs from a tavern because they needed the pickle jar to store ahead that they were carrying about.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it.
Why not?
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of. Do you ever watch Looking for Group? I'll read Looking for Group. It's a comic book, and there was a character in it called Richard. He was like a necromancer, undead. Man, I need to show that to you at some point. It's freaking hilarious. Yeah. So working on the colorations and stuff like that. Now, these are just some basic colorations. We can obviously change stuff, but the reason why we do it this way is because now if I want to change any color, it'll change. Like, let's say I want to go with a bright green. I can now change all of the elements that share that color.
Everything is the same color, and yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So, so I guess now we're going to be looking at the color palette. What color palette do you see for this particular character?
Dark. So he wears dark clothes because it sort of ties in with him being both a shadow sorcerer. His magic comes from the Shadowfell. So I picture him being basically grayscale. He, which I know isn't the most exciting for many being colored, but because he spent so many years in the Shadowfell, and he is a shadow sorcerer, and he's undead, he's lost a lot of the color in his skin. He's kind of like just a pale grayish kind of skin with a bit of jaundice to it. And then his eyes are quite dark gray, and his clothes are dark in order to not stand out from people. I think perhaps I like the idea that on top of all of this dark clothing and things is his bright white hat and gloves that he wears when he's actually a chef. Like, still makes him feel alive. Maybe that's a part of him being human again. Because as I mentioned, there's like 4 lives that he's led. One pre-life that was his first life as a human or humanoid, human-like thing that he doesn't even remember. Then one life as like a shadow being magic dude who is unlocking his powers. Then one life as being just stabbed to death in a dungeon for many years. And then now his life as a trying to put all those things together and make them work. And so I think like his cooking is one of the only elements that he still holds on to from his earliest life. And maybe he feels a connection to that more because he manages to put on this white apron, gloves, and hat while he's working. But then the base of his clothes are all dark grayscale to sort of not draw attention to himself as he's out and about in the market, buying new foods and things, or out on a mission, as the case may be soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That answers the question.
So let's see. So what I'm feeling a little bit is like the chef whites are kind of almost like a symbol of that, like, you know, like him stepping into the light a little. So the chef hat, the gloves, and I thought the apron as well might work.
Yeah, chef hat, gloves, and apron. I think his white clothes because he only wears them when he's in the kitchen, and it makes him feel a little more.
Yeah, it also shows how skilled he is as well, because if you've got you know,
he's got a clean gloves and apron, he obviously does a good job of keeping himself keeping his work clean.
Yeah, exactly.
While he's making his food.
Yeah, and I think that's a good one there.
It shows, like, especially clean gloves as he's working, shows that he's takes pride in his hygiene when he's working.
Yeah. Okay. So I've gone with a grayscale for some of that. And let's go with the
totally lawful good. That's a good question. What do I consider he is? My alignment I wrote as neutral, like true neutral. But again, I don't really think about it too much, or I don't allow it to prescribe what I do. I just act as I think the character would act, and then if alignment comes up, we sort of talk about it and decide. I think about it as him as being true neutral. He doesn't bother himself with the what is expected of him, because as I mentioned, it all comes back to the fact that in comparison to what he has experienced with being starved to death over several years, he feels everything less than that is trivial, and so he doesn't really think about matters of law and order and chaos and good and evil, and he doesn't bother himself with it all. He just is out for himself to try and make this. He's out for himself to try and make this food magic that will bring him back to life, or at the very least give him his taste back. And anything that happens on the way, he tries not to hurt anybody, and he's always definitely making sure that people are well fed. And whenever they go out of their restaurant, anytime that they close the doors of the restaurant, he puts food out front with a basket that says "Help yourself," in case people want to come by the restaurant and find that it's closed. That might mean that they go hungry for an extra few minutes, and he can't have that. So he does some good things, but he doesn't really care for people all that much. He's always irritable, which isn't a very good person trait. And so I think it kind of all balances out, comes out in the wash, as it were. And
well, on that note, actually, a really interesting conversation, I think, piece is I do not subscribe to the notion that being good means you have to be nice at all. I think. And this is the example I usually give people. Once upon a time, I played a anti-paladin who was a blight carrier or something like that. Like anti-paladins who are immune to the effects of disease, but can still be carriers. So I was playing a character like this, and I bought tons of food, gave them to the homeless, fed them, clothed them, made them feel warm and welcome, and I was beloved throughout the entire nation for all of my good work. What people didn't realize what I was doing was that I was handshaking all the disease-ridden peasants of the town and collecting every disease and every illness, not being affected by it, and then whenever I would go into battle, I would just go, cool. If I don't kill you, something in here will.
so one of these things will. I think we're doing a Mr. Burns situation. they're all vying to get in.
Yeah, yeah.
So what you're saying is I'm immortal. Oh no, quite the opposite. A stiff breeze could kill you.
Immortal. Yeah. So the big element there is that the perceptions of the world around him were that he's
a good guy.
He's a really good guy, but the actual truth is obviously far from it. So I guess in the same way, I say that heroes can fundamentally do the same thing. Like, you don't have to be a nice guy to be a paladin or to be a hero. How do you feel about
it's a really big. We've been having long conversations in my Discord recently about alignment and what it means, and can you do this thing and still be good? Can you do that and still be chaotic? And if you are chaotic evil, but part of your evil plan is that you want to lull somebody into thinking you're not chaotic evil, so you pretend to be lawful neutral or whatever, and so you start doing deeds as if you are lawful neutral. If you do that for long enough, do you actually become lawful neutral, even though in your heart of hearts you're still just kind of waiting and biding your time for the moment to activate your evil plan? how much does intention matter? Like, if you do good things but you're doing it for selfish reasons, does that negate the fact that they're good? Does it change your alignment? I don't know. It's all interesting philosophical questions, which is one of the reasons why I don't really tend to worry about alignment in my games, because it opens the boundary for all kinds of loopholes and questions that I'm not qualified to answer.
I keep it nice and simple. I say that our reality and the fantasy reality are very different, and morality is defined by the gods that are in the game. So, for example, if a good god's domain is what falls under the category of whatever your action is, then it's a good action, because for no other reason, then the good god's in charge of it.
Yeah. And good is a tangible thing in that world, because there are, like, inarguably, there are gods of good and gods of evil.
Yeah, and it has no bearing on like our reality or your player morality. It entirely has to do with, again, just the world lore as it is. But yes, I definitely also subscribe to, like, just because you're a paladin doesn't mean you're a nice guy. Just because you're a anti-paladin doesn't mean you're a colossal bastard. There's so many, like, there is no lawful nice,
Yeah. Tiola says, my kids sure think I'm quite the mean mum. I'm not at all nice to them when I'm making them eat healthy food and go to bed and stop watching electronics, etc. They're all good things, but nice is perspective. Yeah.
Exactly. Do atheists exist in D&D? We have had a long... Okay, I feel like there's a thing here. Okay, go. Go.
So in my opinion, yes, they do. Of course they do, because no matter how obvious something is, there are people who will not believe in it. Gravity. There are people in the real world, in this real world that we live in, who don't believe in gravity. So if that is a thing that can happen in this real world, then people who don't believe in the very obvious existence of gods in D&D could also be equally existent.
Well, the one angle I do like about that, though, is the idea of people who don't believe that gods are gods.
Yes, yeah, that's another angle to the atheism that I quite like in D&D, is that people who believe that all of these powers exist, and even that, like, that these powerful beings that are the source of these powers exist, but they don't believe that they're gods. They just believe that it can all be explained by magic, or it can all be explained by some other power, some other explanation. They believe that the gods aren't sentient or something. Maybe they believe that the thing that you're getting your power from as a cleric is just the concept of doing the right thing, and that gives you your power. And so, like, there can be atheists in D&D of various different types, and they would probably all have different names, the same way that we have minor atheists, major atheists, agnostics, all of these pantheists. There's all kinds of words for different beliefs in the real world, and there'd probably be even more in the D&D world, where people are like, I acknowledge the fact that these powers exist, but I don't believe that they are gods in the same way that you do. I don't believe that they have sentience or a plan, or, like, they don't do things on a whim. They just always act as prescribed, and that makes them more of a law than a god, like a natural law. We don't believe that gravity is a god in the real world, because it is a thing that exists in a particular way and will always act in the exact same way, and it's studyable, and it's reliable. And if the gods are the same in D&D, that they will always do certain things in certain ways, then there might be characters in that world who believe that's not a god, it's just a natural law. It's just an element of the world that we live in.
I like that. I definitely like that idea, and I love the idea that it's like, no, these aren't gods. These are just very powerful people using their abilities to, like, manipulate the masses into worshiping them, and that's, dangerous. And like, there's an actual place in the Pathfinder setting called Rahadum.
The what setting?
It's called Galarian. It's very pretty. It's very nice.
Doesn't sound
it's like, okay.
What edition
you
of
see
D&D is that?
Well, okay. Have you watched the Holy Grail? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Knights of Ni, how they were looking for a path. How they were trying to find a path.
Oh, they were trying to find a path. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Same viewpoint. It's like path finder. Yeah.
Right.
There's no freaking command myth.
Oh, is that in D&D?
It's not here. You don't get one. All right. But yeah. Anyway, there's a whole.
There is a command myth. Look, it was just slow.
Slow. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Just my God, my Phantom, you should be protecting my chat. Yeah, so Rahadum focuses on, like, the worship of gods is illegal in that nation. And then the crazy thought is that across the way there is Razmir, where there is the living god, which is a guy who is pretending to be a god, and he's literally got like a theological nation built on a cult.
Ah, nice.
And no one knows if he's a god or not, but they know that there's like 32 steps to becoming the living god, and
is there ascension to goddom in your world? Like, if enough people believe in you as a god, can you actually become a god?
In my world, there is a food.
It's just a pie. You eat this. You eat this pie, and you become a god. Holy shit! That's the best. This pie is delectable.
Elevated.
It is celestial.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Divine pie.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about this element because it's probably not going to be very relevant. But in my world, in addition to food magic, there is font magic, which is like true naming and all that sort of stuff, which is a huge part of my world. Font magic comes down to the Akashic record and the keepers of the Akashic record, Eraldin and Eraldi, which is my merged twin god. It is both male and female simultaneously. They exist as a dichotomy together.
Right.
So, Eraldin or Eraldi presents a prospective god to fulfill a cosmic destiny, presenting them with a persimmon. It's a golden persimmon, and eating the persimmon bestows upon you power over that domain. So as a need arises, then a god can rise to that position.
Right.
Now, and if a god is usurped in that domain, that is to say, let's say that there's a god of light, and then let's say that everyone decides to worship a completely different god of light. That manifestation of that belief will eventually give rise to the lesser god, which may then be offered the persimmon by Eraldin and Eraldi,
Gotcha.
and the original god of light may then retire or even potentially die.
So it's not like the immortal could become the new god of light though, and be offered this persimmon.
Yeah, no, although he would. That would be the point. Is that
so the arising of a lesser god, the lesser god would have come from being immortal, not just like made out of the ether.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would be born to the world, as it were. But
like with for instance, in Dungeons and Dragons, there's the Koatoa, which are fish people that believe in literally anything, and they'll like they have tendencies towards going insane and things. And if one of them decides that a rock is special, then it might start to tell others that it's God, and then the others are bound to believe it because of the nature of the Koatoa.
Yeah.
And then if enough of them believe that this rock is a god, the rock will actually become a god. Is it
yes.
kind of like that at all in your world, or?
Yeah, no, exactly. That would literally be it. In that world, that god, that rock would have powers. It would be more akin to like an artifact more than anything else, right? Like
that was a fun arc of a campaign that I ran with some people in person once, where they did it exactly that. They went after there was a rock with minor magical powers for reasons that I won't get into, but it ended up in the Underdark, and the Kuatoa found it, and so the party went off to find this rock, this magical seeing stone as it was known. And they found that the Kuatoa were worshipping it now, and so when they went to take it back, the rock sort of had sentience by this point, and kind of started to fight them back, and it had all kinds of cool shit that it could do, lair actions and things. But the more of the Kuatoa they killed during that fight, the more that the rock diminished in its abilities to move or use lair actions and things. It had like 5 actions it could do every turn, but once they killed. For every 2 Koatoa they killed or something, it lost one of its actions every round, so that it was like its followers were diminishing, and the fewer people that believed in this rock, the less of a god it became. So it was quite a fun encounter.
That's cool. Yeah, it definitely is a little similar to that. I think the major difference is that it would be that being a lesser god requires that belief, but becoming a greater god over a domain
requires the
requires the persimmon.
Gotcha.
All right.
Some of the questions were coming in. Let me field them.
Just before
Fancy raises a good point of like, does it even count as a belief in D&D if the god is like proven to exist? Does it even count as a belief? Like in the same way that do we believe in the color red? Like, because it's just as factual as gods in D&D. Like, do we believe in the existence of potatoes because we know them to exist? So is it even a belief?
I'd say yes. I'd say you would, if you believe in something enough, you could potentially create that a reality in which that belief takes hold. But it would cost you, and that's the big element, is it would cost something. So the font magic is actually, it's not a forbidden magic, but it's a magic that mortals can't wield easily. The closest thing, they usually need a conduit. Like, that's how rune magic works, right? Like being able to write things down, the wizard's spell book, writing things down. That's kind of how it works. To give an identity to something is a whole new level of power, which is actually how the humans came to be in my world. Because dragons wanted to try and master the magic, but we're like, you know what? We're sick of having dragons just die wielding this magic. Let's make these other things that'll die for us instead. Hey, you.
Right.
Read what's on this sheet. But I don't want to. You want your fucking life? Read the sheet. Explode?
Yeah, that one needs work.
Yeah, we need to work on that one. Yeah, and that's basically what humans were originally in my world.
But the question was more that does something like, because take it back to GM Workshop's question of like, can atheists exist in D&D where gods are known to exist because they have actual tangible things that can take place? Does it even count as a belief in them if there is proof for it? If it's something that we know to be true, does it even count as a belief? Like, is the question of does belief in gods, is that kind of a moot question because
does it no longer become belief if one knows it to be fact?
Yeah, that's the question of like, in the real world, we don't believe in the existence of potatoes because we know them to be true.
Interesting.
I do believe some people in the world believe in a god because there's no proof of a god. So it comes down to a matter of belief. Whereas in D&D, there is proof of God. So does it come down to a matter of belief or not? But then again, like I say, there are people in the world who don't believe in gravity, even though it's not a thing that requires belief, because it's a proven fact of the law of nature that in the universe we live in. So I think even in the D&D world, there would be people who don't believe in the gods, regardless of how much evidence there is for them.
Yeah, and I think in regards to the belief on the cosmic scale, I think it would come down to the majority. You know what I mean? Like, it would come down to what the majority believe to be the truth, and if especially when it comes to the divine or things like even as things get created, like war at a time did not exist in my world, right? There was a period of time where it didn't exist, and because war was created, I guess, or war became a thing, that was what eventually led to the rise of the gods of war and protection. And that's kind of it. It's people were praying to these entities for, people were believing in these entities as someone who was able to influence or otherwise help their plight or their circumstances. And that was strong enough. Yeah, they're also immortals as well. Bastille and Roanoke are my gods of protection and battle, and they are brothers because people who pray for the death of their enemies are also the people who pray for the safety of their families. So they kind of went hand in hand. All right.
Mythical asks a question. After landing on Dread's head recently, do you think Phantom would like to land on Rob's head?
Sure, why not?
Gotta get to the top of my screen. So hey, cutie. All right, this way. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Boop, boop. Little shit.
Amazing.
Burns.
It burns.
Petiola says, this is too complicated for Rob. He never seems to understand it. What's too complicated for me that I don't understand?
Oh, it's calling you out.
Yeah. What are you calling me out on, Petiola?
Do it. Do it. Get him, Petty.
Get him.
Okay. So diving back into the mini build. So we've created the onion cutting. I've played around a little bit with some of the lighting effects on the cauldron. So we've got a little bit of illumination down there to add a bit of depth. I've also changed up the color of the onion, made a custom little peach kind of color just to offset the difference between the white of the gloves and the white of the onion. I've darkened up the base of the robes and the leathers that are involved there, but I've still added in kind of like these little green accents in the in there. Cool. I thought the green just helps pop the certain other colors like the eyes and the hair and stuff, so that was why I went with that.
I think there's something about the green hair that I'm not liking because it makes me I don't know actually. It maybe this is a question for like what you think I was before I died. I was humanoid, but was I human? If I wasn't, then maybe the green hair makes sense. But if I was, then I think the green hair should be.
For me, undead always have green hair, like like green or blue. That's always been my.
It greens up when we die, or is it like an element of the necromancy magic that turns our hair green?
No, every time I Google like pictures, I always think maybe.
I just figured I had normal human color.
I mean, you can have normal human color hair. I've got no problem with that.
In fact, I've said short wisps of grey hair, slightly. What did I say here? Almost bald with wispy grey hair. So my hair is mostly fallen out because of the malnourishment.
Oh, so you know what it is. You know what it is. I figured out where I'm getting my inspiration from. Freaking World of Warcraft.
Right.
Yep, that's why undead have green and blue hair. I never realized that.
Could you lose the hat for a second and we'll try some different hairstyles? I want to see what we got.
Let's see.
Gravity doesn't care if you believe in it. Yeah.
Get out of here.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was the balding, ugly one. Hair.
Is there what other balding options are there?
Let's see. We have the Vegeta. We have the old man.
The old man.
It kind of reminds me of what was it called?
I kind of don't mind that one.
I can't remember what it's called. It's a video game with like I think it was called Kane or something. Or damn it. Oh, that's gonna bug me. It looks like hold on, maybe it is. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. No.
No, that color is blue. He changed it to blue after I said it was green.
I did. Legacy of Kain. I think that was it. Yeah. Legacy of Kain. Hold on. Legacy of Kain. Is that the? Yes. Check this out. So it looks like this guy. It reminds me of this guy. If this guy kind of like let himself go.
I'm not seeing detail there. Let me just Google it. What was it? Legacy of Kain.
Legacy of Kain. Yeah. It reminds me of the guy from Legacy of Kain. Like as like an old man. Like things just went really wrong for him at some point or another. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's because of the face mask in it.
Yeah. It's all gone wrong for me.
That's kind of cool. I kind of like that that sort of really balded hair there because he's just lost a lot of his hair from his malnourishment. His body just wasn't able to keep producing it. He's got alopecia in certain places and things.
Yeah, I think those three are the only real bold ones.
All right, let's keep with that one and then
there's also kind of like
the the bald one, the old man kind of monk bald one with the full horseshoe. And then stick the hat back on.
Okay. Also, what do you think of the what do you think of the little scar over the eye?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, and then we'll get the chef tote back on. There it is.
There you go. And then the hair being blue, is that what you'd prefer because it sticks with the rest of the undead in your world?
No. I mean, I had no preference in that. What color?
I'd go like a light white, kind of a light, like a really light grey kind of a thing. Like he's got quite thin hair that's mostly falling out. It's lost a lot of its coloration in its time in the Underdark.
Like something like that.
Yeah, little darker grey if we can go.
We can go darker grey.
Touch darker.
Touch darker. Okay, hold on. You know what? I'm gonna just do this manually. Okay, let's just make sure that I'm not using this for other things. Let's just. Okay, good.
Changing my gloves or something.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. So we want to go touch lighter.
Touch darker.
Darker. Okay, just say when.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Okay, very nice. All right.
Yeah, I like that skin tone.
Another thing we can also do is we can play around with the iris.
Yeah, I'm not sure if so again, like if I was human, I think I would have had a normal iris to begin with, but then I kind of like something that kind of like that pinprick iris before, that was like something that's, although actually if I spent a lot of time in the Shadowfell and there's not a lot of, I kind of could argue it either way here. If I've spent a lot of time in the Shadowfell where there's not a lot of light, my irises would have been permanently highly dilated to try and get in as much light as possible, and like living in a dark plane of existence.
But you know what? This kind of also tells a story as well. It's like, all right, listen to me, Onion. You will obey me, and I will stop chopping off my fingers.
I kind of like that big.
You have failed me for the last time.
You have failed me for the last time, Onion. I will not stand by your insolence. Let's go that one even bigger. That size larger iris pupil.
We
kind of like that. That's a really that's a really FYI, intense.
We can adjust this however we want. So we can increase that, and is there a way to? There we go. Okay. Nope. Oh no, I lied. I thought there was a way that we could adjust the pupil size, but we can adjust the iris size, but not the pupil size.
Ooh, gross.
Right. Okay, so
can we make the big pupils like that? Yeah, I like that, because it gives him like a really intense look, and it's also because his sort of irises, the muscles of his iris kind of withered away while he was being starved.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
with this big wide eye.
Yeah, so I'm also gonna add a bit of a glow there, and just make that so that it looks like an actual glowing ring. I think that'll look really nice too.
Yeah, it's got that glowing rings, kind of hints at the necromancy magic that's holding him up.
I like that. All right, and I think the only thing that I'm missing is the hat piece. Now, with the gray on the hair and the light colored skin, what we'd want to do is we'd want to break that up with whatever color that is. So I'm almost tempted to say that a black hat might not be an overly terrible idea.
We could do like an actual color to the hat as well. Like you could have a light blue hat or something. Like if we wanted a pop of color somewhere in it, he could have some kind of a colored hat. Because our restaurant's called Fairy Fire, right? So maybe some sort of like lilacs and light blues and things, because the colors of Fairy Fire.
What color is Fairy Fire? Green.
I don't know. I mean, the spell says you can make it green, lilac, or blue. I think it says
lilac. Okay, so what color is lilac?
Lilac's a purple. Spells. Let's have a look. Spells. Fairy Fire. Fairy Fire.
Lilac.
The spell says blue, green, or violet light of your choice. So if we were strictly sticking to that, and we wanted a color theme to our restaurant, it would make sense that it would be those sorts of pastels, the fey-like coloration, and that my gloves and hat and apron might, or maybe just the hat, keep the gloves and apron white for the reasons we said before about denoting cleanliness.
Yeah, but what we can do here is we could add. So you're going with the lilac?
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Okay, so I think because what we can do there is we can add because we can just adjust some of the colors there, and then just add those little splashes. So you've got like the little purple cuffs, you got the purple dish rag. You know what I mean? Just little tiny accents to like play on that lilac, and that looks a lot more natural there.
Yeah, good. That's good. Fancy quick point of order. The guy who locked me up didn't experiment on me. He just tortured me. There was no magical experiments, or if there was, I don't remember them. He just tortured me. I was his enemy for reasons that I won't get into, because I don't fully understand all of those reasons anyway. We haven't fleshed that out together, Deck.
No, we have not.
But yeah, he caught me after an incident and locked me away and just tortured me to death.
Okay, now I'm just gonna do one.
Kept me alive with magic while he stabbed me to death.
I'm just gonna do one slight. No, stop that. I'm gonna do one slight adjustment here, and that is I'm going to lower.
Yeah, he didn't like poke my eyes out with hot pokers or anything. It wasn't torture like that. He wasn't wanting information or actively torturing me. He just locked me in a dungeon and kept me alive with magic without feeding me ever. So I was just in the dungeon for years. I probably didn't even see him after that first. Probably didn't see him all that often after he first locked me in there. He would come in once or twice every so often just to keep me from hurting myself or keep me from dying of disease.
Well, I think
walk in, lay on hands, and then walk out or something. And then I'd be like, please kill me.
I think another question I'd have in general is the notion of torture in role-playing games. How do you feel about it? I mean, obviously there is a level of comfort that we have with people that we are familiar with.
It's obviously a major thing on the consent list that you need to talk through your players with, and I ran through with all of the players of this campaign. I put it in the group chat, saying like, hey, full disclosure, this is my backstory that I'm thinking of. If anybody has a problem with it, let me know and I'll come up with a new character. So you do need to sort of work it through, but as long as everybody at the table is okay with it, I'm 100% on board with torture in RPGs. I think it's a big story element that we can tell all kinds of stories with. I don't shy away from things with torture in them, like torture for the sake of torture, like Saw and Hostel and movies like that. I don't watch them. I'm not interested in them. I've never seen any movies like that. But torture as a part of a larger thing, like in Game of Thrones or something, and I think it's an important thing that we can. It's a way for us to
express
certain stories, a way for us. It's an easy kick the kitten moment if you see somebody torturing somebody who seems innocent to you. It's an easy way of realizing, God damn, I hate that guy who's torturing Theon Greyjoy, whatever his name was. I can't remember now.
No, absolutely. I could not agree more. I accidentally ran a...
It's literally built into the concept of dungeons, which is a part of the name. Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
I accidentally ran a torture scene in one of my... in Sexy Battle Wizards by accident.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the cherub.
Oh, the cherub being beaten by kids.
Yeah, that was a big oops on my part because I don't know why it just never dawned on me that, hey, you know what a cherub looks like if you've tied it up in a piñata? It looks like a child being beaten up by a bunch of kids. I was like, you know what? That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. But as long as everybody is okay with it at the table, and it's not like you only say you're okay once and then that's it, you've given consent forever. Like you can continually withdraw consent at any point. You can say like, hey, I thought I was going to be okay with it, and then as we've started acting it out, this is getting a bit much, can we move on? So as long as you're constantly keeping an ear out and an eye out for whether or not people are feeling comfortable and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. I think a lot of people think that when you consent once, that's about it, and it makes people a little nervous about stuff. But no, I agree. I think consent is something that is always ongoing. I'm sorry, Sexy Battle Wizards. Did you hear that right? Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Sexy Battle Wizards.
That was
it's an amazing game, Weasel Queen. It is exactly as it sounds. You are playing as wizards, and you have 3 stats: sexy, battle, or wizard. If you are trying to charm your way out of a particular predicament or seduce your way out, then you roll your sexy stat. If you are trying to force your way out with brute strength or battle or punching or whatever, then you are rolling battle. And if you are trying to use anything else, if you're using magic, then you're using your wizard stat. It's a lot of fun. It's a 1-page romp kind of RPG from Grant Howitt. It is Grant Howitt, isn't it? Sexy Battle Wizard?
Yes.
Yeah. Who does a lot of 1-page RPGs like Honey Heist and Crash Pandas and Goat Crushers and all sorts of things. And you can see me and Dag playing in a couple of different Sexy Battle Wizards now.
We have one with Lud, and we have
playing with Sarah Moore as the DM, the GM, sorry, and then playing with you as the GM.
Yep. And you know what? I actually quite enjoyed that one because I got to learn a lot about my comfort levels. Because, you know, look, here's the thing, and I don't actually talk about this very often on my channel, but like sexuality and gender identity and all this stuff is super important, especially because my channel is very much about mental wellness and using gaming to promote like just excellence in gaming. And Sexy Battle Wizards was a challenge for me because I personally am very vanilla. I get very embarrassed very quickly about sexy things. And all the
sexy things.
All the sexy things. I am a big dork when it comes to stuff, but you know, like I wanted to challenge myself.
So you're like, let's play a game that's all about seduction and sex. And
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing.
And let's play it with who was in the game with us. Was Patrick was in the game.
It was Patrick. It was you. It was Forgeling. It was Dread, and it was Sarah.
just like a whole bunch of bisexual, openly sexual people.
Yeah.
Let's run a game called Sexy Battle Wizards for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was like, you know, like it was one of those moments where I was like, you know, if you only ever do what you're capable of right this second, you'll never be more than you are. So for me, I was like, right now I am not capable of running sexy games, and I want to be.
Let's see if I can do it. Yeah.
Let's see if I can do it. And you know what?
You did a fantastic job. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I did not expect it to end with an orgy, but it did. It was not
an orgy and chocolate fountain.
An orgy and a chocolate fountain. But you know what? I mean,
with a guy who can shapeshift into a dolphin.
Yeah, and honestly, what I mean, you know, if you think of any game called Sexy Battle Wizards, how else do you expect the game to bard? Yeah. All right. Okay, so
bard the game. Yeah.
All right, so I think we're pretty close to Suze.
Patrick is in That Grey Gentleman. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna make fun of him for that. Yeah. Oh, please do.
You did a fantastic job in it. He's so fun.
Oh yeah, him and Thomas were amazing. I definitely should arrange more games with the two of them to play off each other. Okay, let's take a quick analysis. How are we looking for this dude?
I'm liking it. Somebody asked, are the head and the hat and cloth at the waist different shades of purple on purpose, like to show that they're not like cut from the same cloth, but there's just like a theme of color that we're going with?
Originally, yes. Also because I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, I'm fine with them being different shades. Like it's the theme is the theme of fairy fire is blues, greens, and purples.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's just at some point he has found a bunch of purple cloth and cut them into dish rags.
Yeah,
and then at a separate time he's gone and got himself a purple toque.
Well, I mean, you definitely would also order certain things like that, you know. Yeah, you would definitely order like, you know, like the tote like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, you know, wouldn't be hard to find a scrap of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think we're coming to the end of today's character build.
I reckon the onion, can we make it slightly more of a brown onion, just because, as you say, it's kind of blending with the gloves a little. So if we go slightly more creamish color, or just a really light brown, I think, yeah, even that, I think will, yeah, that's good. That makes it a little less obvious that it's a little more obvious that it's not the gloves.
All right.
I love that the knife's going right into it though. That's perfect.
I do dig that.
How dare Heroforge not have a skinned onion though that they can put on?
That's very true. There are a few other food options. So I'm gonna save this right now. So we're saving this as is. So this will always be the case. I'm gonna play around with a few things just for fun, and see what we go while we answer our final lot of questions. So at most we're gonna go with 3 more questions. But if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. It doesn't have to
them.
Ask away. It's for me or Rob or both, and yeah, let us know.
Me or Rob or both or neither.
Or neither. Just a question to the universe. All right, there's one here from L Brown. Question: as a DM, is there an element of rules that bug you the most? Something you feel that you really need to change?
So many things.
Food.
So many things. What's the most important one that I feel? I really don't like that the modifiers only go up every other number in 5th edition. I really don't like that we've got. Holy cow! What's that? That's amazing.
Yeah, somebody made a chef with robots,
awesome.
but it's got like a guy under here, which is very weird.
It's got a guy under there. What?
Yeah, there's a dude under there.
Oh, so that you could add a shield to the back. That would be a thing. That's smart.
It's very smart.
The ways we have. So is that guy under there holding 2 shields and has a shield on his back and he's crouched down?
I believe, if I had to guess, this guy has.
I think he's holding a shield in both hands and the 2 yellows, and then he's got a shield on his back. I think.
Yeah, and he's got
2 shields on his back.
Yeah, and he's got 2. And he's also got several hands that have these little orb things, which are the burners.
Man, that's clever. That's some man. You can do some shit in Heroforge. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, people are nuts.
So to answer the question, I think here comes a Rob rant. I'll pause myself before I rant too much. Which rules don't bug Rob? I just really don't like that the modifiers mean nothing at every odd number. So if I'm a 16 in strength and I go up to a 17 in strength, nothing changes except the fact that I can jump 1 foot further. Like no modifiers, no attack bonuses, nothing changes. And by having things go up only on every even number, and then also cap at 20 and cap at 20 and 3 essentially, it means that there's only a 10 number swing between the worst you can possibly be in this score and the best you can possibly be in this score is only a difference of 10. And the dice that you roll to randomize things is a difference of 20. So it means that a person with a 3 in strength can beat a person with a 20 in strength at an arm wrestle like an 1/8 of the time. I can't remember the exact figures. I worked it out many years ago. But it's something like an 1/8 of the time the person with a 3 in strength can beat the person with a 20 in strength. And that should just that shit annoys me. It's like a really easy fix as well. It's a really easy fix, but easy in the terms of Wizards of the Coast could do it for a new edition, easy. Not in the terms of I could homebrew it easy, because it's an easy fix that would have repercussions throughout the entire game. I would simply say that an 18 in a number is a +8 modifier, and a 13 is a +3, and a 7 is a -3. You just take whatever your number is, you subtract 10, and that's your modifier. And that way, a person with a 20 in strength would have a +10, and a person with 3 in strength would have a -7. And now there's a swing of 17 between them. And theoretically, it's still possible that they could beat you in an arm wrestle, but it'll happen significantly less. But by making and it wouldn't change like the what do they call it? Bounded accuracy. It wouldn't change the bounded accuracy of D&D, because it would just simply increase the bounds a little. You'd still be capped at 20 and 3, so you'd still only be able to get a maximum of +10 in your score, but a +10 instead of a +5. But by doing that, you'd have to similarly adjust all of the different armor classes and hit points and things. There are many other rules that I dislike about 5th edition as well, but I'm not going to get into them now. Dag, your answer.
I hate how some people view a lack of a rule as a as a mainstay, like a positive in D&D. Like the way that some people have spoken to me about D&D, it's like, oh, isn't it cool that the rules are so simple that you can grab hold of them, and that there aren't rules for like a million different things like another system that you really like. And I'm like, well, no, this is not a case of better, of better. This is
less is better. It's like,
yeah,
no,
it's like, no, I want more.
Which is why I think, sorry to interrupt, but it's why I think that they should come back with the original idea. In first edition, they had Dungeons and Dragons and Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. They should have kept that throughout all of the editions. There should be 5th edition and Advanced 5th edition. The people who like the simplified rules, you release the simplified rules. It would also help them because they'd get they'd double all of the number of books that they can do, all of the core books. They'd release a player's handbook and an advanced player's handbook, so that if you want the specifics of I don't know, grappling somebody that's 2 sizes larger than you while they're restrained, then you've got those rules. You've got rules for it in the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons version.
And that's the important bit, is like, you've got to kind of weigh up like how much you need or want to simplify rules versus how much you want to like provide versatility and opportunities and stuff like that. So for me, I think if I could change one big thing about it, it would be, I want them to, I know it sounds really facetious, I want them to go back to a lot of the mentalities between, as you say, AD&D and like 3.0, 3.5. I want that feel back. I want that feel like it. Like, if I'm playing a barbarian, it's not up to me to create the things that are unique about that barbarian, because every barbarian does the same fucking thing. It's like, here are the 10 or 12 things that my barbarian does, and I don't want there to just be one correct answer to like spells. Like, I mean, look, we play around with the idea of True Strike, for example, right? Yeah, True Strike is a bit silly, right? We know that, but
actually pretty good in Pathfinder. I don't know if you knew that. It's actually...
Don't you get me, freaking. Anyway, but like that's the thing though, right? Is I felt like 5th Ed made things really simple, and it's now taken a firm hold in my life as Tonka, my first RPG. It's like, yes, great, awesome. Yeah. But at some point or another, you go from like the little push Tonka trucks into like the RV trucks, RC trucks and things like that. And that's what I want from D&D. It's what I want to change. The fact that there are no prestige classes.
Do you reckon that's something that is coming in 5.5? Do you reckon that's the sort of thing that they're bringing, or do you reckon they're kind of like 5.5? Because I wasn't around for 3 and 3.5. I had no idea kind of why they have what a half the edition really means.
So 3.0 to 3.5 was a simplification of a bunch of different things, which I hope that they don't do in this instance. I hope what they do...
5e is already very simple. So
yeah, exactly. What I hope that they do is, I hope that they give more directions for the players to be able to go and explore in regards to their identities as characters. Because that, I think, is the bit that's lacking. Yeah. I mean, for example, Makiwara is a character that I'm playing on Rob's table. And I pushed myself because, let's start with one of the basics. I hate monks. I really do. Thank you. Thank you. Look at that. Isn't he gorgeous? He's great. Oh, wow. Yeah, he came out so good. And he's at your house. Yeah.
He came out so well, and he's at my house. Haha.
Yeah, I know. So Makiwara.
You posted him to me. It's not like he just turned up out of surprise, and you're like, "Oh shit, I put the wrong address in."
I did send it to Rob because that table is mostly comprised of Rob's New Zealand friends, and they're actually, the plan is to have them play at their table, and then I'll be remotely in. But then they'll have minis of me to be able to play with. So there's a reason why. But anyway, the idea with Maki is, like, I was looking at what we could do, and I was like, cool, I want to play a healer, but I don't want to play a cleric, right? And then it was like, what can I do in order to do that? It's like, I can play a paladin. Okay, cool. Anything else? Look.
You just take some. Look over there.
Yeah, look over there.
Yeah, they kind of introduced over the years several different like healing subclasses. So you can be a druid or a bard and be a pretty decent healer. They fleshed out. So your healing options in 5th edition now, with all of the new subclasses and things to choose from, is artificer, druid, bard, cleric, paladin. Hand of healing monk.
Yep. Because that was one of the ones I was thinking of. So when I then went to play the monk, it was almost like, here is the monk. Here's your healing. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's have a look at the artificer. Here's your artificer. Oh, and you want the healing option? Here you go. There you go. You got the healing bit. But it was never an identity element to it.
Yeah.
If I looked at like say 3.0 and 3.5, did you know that there is actually a class from the miniatures handbook that is the literal like freaking, it's a pamphlet that just promotes their minis, right? There's a class in it called the combat medic, and one of the it's a borderline non-magic class. I say borderline.
That's something I didn't know that they did that, but it is something I've seen quite a few times on Reddit over the years of whenever the thread invariably comes back around to be, because that's how Reddit works. It's just the same threads over and over again with a few months between. The thread's eventually going to come back around of like, what class is missing from D&D that you would love to see? And people are like a non-magical healer, like a doctor or a medic or someone that can do healing without using magic.
Oh yeah, and he was great. And do you know why he was great? He did stuff like, okay, cool, I've healed you, stitch you up, woof, and then automatically you're under the effect of a sanctuary spell because of a class ability he has that says literally, I just healed that.
Just healed that. Can you stay healed for 1 minute?
But think about how useful that is, like to try and get out of the loop of like the healers
going
loop.
Down, falling, back up again.
How useful is it if when you heal someone you cast sanctuary on them, so they need to make a will save to try and smack him again?
Like, I'm gonna knock him back down. Oh fuck, I can't. I gotta.
Yeah,
I gotta hit that guy.
And that was stuff like that for me was like hyper specific, but so goddamn useful and so amazing. There was prestige classes like the Stone Warden for the dwarves, where it's like anything I threaten in my range is considered difficult terrain. So if you want to get to the guys behind me, this area is not only I will provoke an attack of opportunity, but it's also you're moving at half speed.
Which kind of makes sense to just be the norm. Why is that not? Because now that you've mentioned it, I'm now thinking like, moving around somebody who's swinging a sword at you should be make quite you difficult. Slow down.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be able to run through that area.
The definition of hazardous terrain is like
somebody's actively swinging in a weapon at you.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, like that is what I hope for. I hope that, and I won't say complexity. I just hope that individuality is returned in some way when they eventually look at doing the 5.5 whatever. Everyone's kind of like on the fence on that. They're like, oh, maybe they're going to be doing a 6th edition, and we're like, nah, they won't do a 6th edition. No. I don't think anyone's believing that the 6th edition.
The two keywords that makes it very clear to me that it's going to be a 5.5 is backward compatible.
Yeah,
and they've specifically said that things of 5th edition will be compatible with this new edition, which means it's going to be 5.5.
Yeah, which is exactly what happened with 3.5. It was entirely backwards compatible. Which is so ironic because like 3.5 went to 4th ed and said, and then Pathfinder went, don't worry, we'll be backwards compatible. And then Pathfinder's now gone, oh, we're going to do 2nd edition. And D&D's now gone, we're going to be backwards compatible.
Yeah, the leapfrogging.
Yeah, they are. It's great.
We had a question from Newbie Goddess who says, Rob, why don't you just play more Pathfinder? And I would, Newbie, but I just don't know anybody who plays it. Like, I don't know any DMs who could run it for me. So
it's such a tough one.
I'd love to. I've heard so much about Pathfinder, and I'm so keen on playing it because it sounds like such an amazing system. But I just don't know anybody who plays it. So if you guys
just know a GM. Know someone.
A GM who plays Pathfinder.
That's it.
Try and convince them to run a game for me, so that I can get familiar with the system.
Buddy, I'll get there. Once I schedule this finish of the Sirens and Silver game, Jesus, like that we're getting there. I mean, like 8 months in? We're like episode 6 now.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. So much life's getting in the way of it.
It is. But you know what? It happens. And yeah, no, look, Pathfinder is definitely on the horizon as well. In fact, I was actually gonna. This is more of a private conversation. So audience, please don't listen. I just for like a few seconds. But Rob, I had an idea. And I always have ideas.
You do. You have a lot of ideas.
I do have a lot of ideas. I would love if you, me, and Dread did like a Sirens and Silver like thing, right? Where we do like a quote unquote celebrity game, yada yada yada. But it's a persistent campaign that we pause every season and then come back to after a rotation. So you know how like Bethesda does like Skyrim and then they do Fallout, and by the time they go back to Skyrim, everyone's like frothing over it.
Where's the fucking Skyrim?
Yeah, right. I think we should do that. I think we should like.
So each of us runs a 12-episode campaign in this world, in the same campaign, but we keep pausing to go and check out what's going on over in this campaign for 12 episodes.
Exactly.
Could work.
Could be a lot of fun.
All right, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, yeah, okay. Thank you, audience. I appreciate your honesty there, for not listening, but yeah, Rob is a celebrity.
No, he was talking about the other people at the campaign, like
yeah,
Quincy.
other people.
Quincy and your narrator, and
yeah.
Or Janet from Will Danville. And
that's true.
who do I want to be a great GM?
You know who I would really want to? Okay, so I've got a question for you, Rob. If you could, and I'm gonna say non-RPG related, if you could role play with any celebrity, who would it be?
Any non-RPG related celebrity.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I know you'd say Brendan Mulligan, and
Tom Hanks comes to mind first because he's always been my favorite celebrity.
Okay.
As an actor, he was my favorite actor. In the acting world, Tom Hanks would be great. I'd love to meet him and see if he's as nice a guy in person as everybody says he is.
Apparently he is.
Who else would I love to meet? Yeah, apparently he is. Who else would I love to play games with? So the question was, who would I love to play an RPG with? Yeah, but somebody who's not already in the RPG world.
I'd say somebody. I mean, you could choose a celebrity who's like played RPGs, like Vin Diesel, for example, is not what I'd like.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So, Jack Black, then I think is one because I know that he has played before, but I think he would be fantastic. He would be such a fun character to play with. Just like improv comics, people who do stand up in the style of making it up as they go. Ross Noble would be a really fun.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool.
Because his style of improv is like I never know when his prepared material for that particular tour has begun. You would have to see him do two different games of the same, two different nights of the same tour to realize which parts are actually prepared material because he so seamlessly goes from riffing off of the audience. It would be chaotic. It may even be more chaotic than the Viva La Dirt League guys because he's just so mentally ill. Who is it that says Ross Noble? Oh, it's Tim Minchin. It says,
Tim Minchin, yeah.
Ross Noble's he's not mentally ill. He's eccentric, which is somebody who's mentally ill with an audience.
Yeah. Amazing. I think for
Speaking
me,
of Tim Minchin, I think he'd be fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Tim
Man,
Minchin would be great.
Tim Minchin and Ross Noble at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me it would be definitely Jim Parsons, who by the way is enjoying their birthday today. So in the offset that for some freaking reason you're watching, happy birthday, Jim. But yeah, Jim Parsons and Mayim Bialik would be my top two. For those of you who don't know who Jim Parsons is Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, and Mayim is Amy. Yeah. I think like
Lizzie and I have cosplayed as Sheldon and Amy for a costume party once.
Oh, nice. Photos that didn't happen.
Whoa, the Watcher!
Hey, wow!
Welcome in. On the back of another raid. Who is the first raid? First raid was Hellhound. Thank you for the raid.
We had Hellhound, and now we have the Watcher. Welcome in, guys. Hi. We are. Nice to see you guys all here. For those of you who don't know, my name's Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer. This is Robert Hartley. Robert Hartley is the wonderful mind and incredible talent behind the D&D Logic series on Viva La Dirt League, as well as, of course, Viva La Dirt League D&D. I don't know if you've heard of it. Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't. Who knows? But this is him.
Have you guys coming in from the Watcher heard of Viva La Dirt League?
Yeah, have you? Just if you haven't, you know,
I do D&D with them. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, exactly. Welcome in, guys. How was your stream? I hope you had an absolutely amazing time. We're chatting D&D stuff, and we're making Heroforge minis.
What are you playing at the moment, Adam? What are you obsessed with? Are you over New World?
Let's find out what he's doing.
That was yesterday's game, right?
Let's spy. Let's see what he's. Let's see what he was up to.
What's the current obsession game?
Let's see. He was watching.
Are we doing some marbles? It's been a while since you've done marbles, right?
Marbles.
They're just chatting today.
Oh, just chatting. Yeah, I do like marbles. Marbles is always fun.
Over New World for months, just chatting today.
Nice. Oh my god. By the way,
what about Elden Ring? You're not gotten into that yet?
I was going to say
into Elden Ring right now.
Because Ben just started that, I think.
That's basically Dark Souls, isn't it? That's what I've.
Dark Souls 2.0.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
Because there were certain elements of it that I was like, oh, maybe I'd like that. I thought it might be more like Skyrim, and then I started watching things and reading reviews, and I was like, no. Man, I will not like that at all. I saw one review that basically broke it down into like lots of 1 to 5 categories of like graphics and gameplay and user interface and difficulty, and the difficulty was a 1 to 5 category, and they added a 6th category called Dark Souls and they put it as that, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's not for me.
Yeah. Look, I appreciate Dark Souls, but it's like one of those things. I grew up in the generation where people were like just getting used to like watching other people do stuff. And I think it killed my that little bone inside me that enjoyed horror games. You know, I'm like, why am I jump scaring like a schmuck when I can watch this guy do it? It's just no. Elden Ring looks like a lot of fun. I think you know what? I was talking about this the other day. Because you are a fan of Nemesis, the board game, aren't you?
Board game, yeah, played it last night.
Yeah.
I almost beat it for the first time. Jesus, it's difficult to beat that game.
Oh, it is.
It had the most epic ending to Nemesis, though. For anyone who doesn't know, it's basically Aliens, the board game. Not called that because of reasons, I guess. Maybe they couldn't get the license to it. But it's basically you wake up on an alien spaceship and you've got to uncover the parts while basically xenomorphs are coming for you. And you've got to find an egg. You've got to find the nest and destroy the eggs, all that sort of stuff. Everybody's got their own little objectives that they can do. And I was playing it last night with a group of 5. And my guy was the captain, and he was kind of an asshole to the rest of the crew the whole game, just because I was playing him that way. And then at one point, we were like, we'd achieved all of our objectives. The ship's basically on fire and dying around us. So all we had to do is get back into the hibernatorium and go to sleep, and then we win the game. But I had a corpse in my hand, and I was like, the lab's right there. If I can get to the lab and analyze this corpse, then we can unlock one of the aliens' weaknesses and blah, blah, blah. So I ran into the lab, did this thing, and then the end of the round, you roll randomly to see where all the aliens go. And the queen, who's in the nest, which is next to the lab, of course, she moves down. Of all of the 4 corridors that she could have moved down, she moves down into the lab. So the queen comes to me. Oh, God. Because I had dropped my weapon in order to pick up the corpse, I had no weapons on me. And the queen is in my thing. She's already taken 6 damage. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out in style. I'm going to punch her. If you've got no weapons in Nemesis, the only option available to you is to make an unarmed strike. But by doing so, you're already getting more contaminated because you're touching these alien creatures. So I get a contamination card and I get a serious wound, but I give her 1 wound, and then I get her another one, and I get her another. And then one of the other guys who was running towards the hibernatorium decides, I'm not going to let the captain die like this. So he runs in as well. And between us, neither of us have a gun. So we're just punching the queen alien to death. And we just, and I managed to kill her. And I literally kicked the alien queen to death. It was awesome. Very epic ending to the game.
That is amazing. Also, real quick, massive shout out and thank you to all the people who followed. By the way, before people run off, if you do have places to be, that's okay. It's fine. Do follow the channel though, because I will be hosting a stream to decide what the mural that I'm going to be making for the Viva La Dirt League studio is going to be. And if you want to have a say on how we're going to prank Rob with my mural, do give us a follow. And speaking of really cool stuff, holy crap, we are in the middle of a hype train. Thanks to Hanny B for the 5 gifted subs and Classic Sam for coming in with that 1-2 punch of another 5 gifted subs. Guys, this is so incredible. Thank you so much. All
Better
proceeds and
jealous.
all donations go to feeding Phantom, my little Draco Lich right there, who loves you all and appreciates you all, and will of course dance for your amusement. So thank you.
What the hell just happened?
Wabba!
A surprise Wabberjack appeared.
Wild Wabberjack.
How many did
has
you
appeared.
drop?
He used 69. He dropped 60.
She's given, of course she did. She's given 69 subs because that's Wabba.
Nice Wabba.
Holy
oh my
shit,
god, thank
Wabba.
you so much. Holy crap, that's like
you're at 1087% of your level 5 hype
yeah,
train.
there you go. Oh my, I think this is the highest hype train I've ever had. Holy crap. So Wabba.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Holy crap.
Oh my god.
I just the whole thing. Don't ever doubt us again, Rob. Wow. That's if that isn't sending a message, I don't know what is. Like
don't ever doubt us again.
Don't ever doubt us again.
Far out. This is
Jesus, wow, I lost my train of thought.
So now you're gonna have to be trolling me in the Viva La Dirt League studios that are coming. You achieved your goal with your getting your face up on the mural wall.
Yep, that's it.
And now you guys have to stick around and help him decide what face he's gonna put on the wall.
It is. So pretty much once I get the word from the Viva team as to what the parameters are for the wall, how big it is, what the artist is gonna be like, you know, etc., 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 we're gonna sit around, we're gonna chat, and we're gonna figure out exactly how we're gonna prank Rob. There are some really fun ideas. I think one of the funniest ones is me there with a crown saying best GM. That was really funny.
With your cheesy
just a cheesy like
smile.
That. That one. That's my cheesy shot smile. I love that, and there's a few other ones. Like there was another one that was suggested, which is just my face, but with your troll face.
Quincy?
Just get Spidey to do the troll face thing. Hey, Quincy's in chat. Well, Quincy, you've just come at a great time. This is behold. We've just started putting. Well,
check it out, Quincy. It's Shem.
Final touches on Shem, the undead chef, for Robert's character, which is looking pretty smick. That definitely does look amazing. You can get a video message to what you can get Rob to do. That's true. I should just ask them, what video message do you want? It's like, tell me how far I can push the mural. That's what I want you to send me a message for. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It is gonna be a lot of fun. Look, ultimately it is all for a good cause because I love Viva, and I know you guys do as well.
It's gonna be epic, man.
It's gonna be so cool, and I cannot wait because guys, if time and world and stuff pending, it is available. I will actually be traveling to New Zealand around the time of the studio release and launch. I'll go hang out with Rob. I'll go meet, hang out with the Viva guys, and we'll do like a thing. We'll just go hang out.
That's what he thinks.
I will break in.
That's what he thinks.
It'll be the first.
I've still got to find a way to get back at you. So
that
could be.
Yeah.
I tell you, yeah, man, come over on this date and we'll hang out. And then I book a holiday and go and just leave the country for a week.
Look, that's true, but I want to point out that Dredd said the same thing about level up, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm untouchable, right? Like if I set a goal, it gets done, right? Like that's it. It's like, hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a whole charity in front of Dredd. Boom, it happens. I said I'm gonna get Rob. I'm gonna get the mural in there. Boom, it happens. Yeah, that's how this works. You guys can try. You guys can try to get me back.
Oh, okay.
I'll caught the throwdown. Oh right. Nemesis. That's what I was gonna say. Nemesis has just released a video game.
What?
Yeah. So I'm in the beta for the video game at the moment because I kickstarted their Mars thing, and I've tried it, and holy crap, it is terrifying. Because it's a first person, and you still got to basically play Nemesis. The difference is you don't have a gun.
Oh god.
And even when you do find a gun,
it even kick a queen to death without a gun. Easy.
Well, here's the catch. Even then, it says this: don't fight aliens. Aliens instantly kill you. Your guns are more of a deterrent than anything else. Like, it'll cause them to stagger for a bit.
Yeah.
And what you actually supposed to do is you're supposed to make noise in other corridors to lure them away from you. That's the goal of it. But everyone's still ready to betray each other in the game. So
of course.
So I'm basically okay. So what I'm hearing is this is Alien Isolation meets Dread Hunger.
Yeah, I was thinking Dread Hunger.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Oh my god.
Well, I shan't be playing that with you. Good luck with it.
I reckon, I think because remember, I got you to play Phasmophobia at least once. I
You did,
think
and
I
Dread
might
Hunger.
I think I might get you to play once, maybe. I think I might convince you to play once, but that'd be
We'll
about
see.
it. It wouldn't be. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, my horror bone is like gone now. Like it's just like it's like I'm okay. Like they started a group chat in like a group of our friends with Lantern and found it, and they're like, hey, who wants to play Phasmophobia? And I'm like, nah, I'm busy. No, I was actually busy, but yeah. Just make sure you don't end up on the side downing us, Dag. Okay, okay. Listen, Weber. Look, I'm really sorry. Please. I know better. As long as I don't as long as I don't doubt Weber.
Yeah,
I think I'll be okay.
the thing is, Webber's just like turns up out of the blue. Like you don't see a Webber.
Yeah,
She just like she just sneaks up like a panther. And then you're just like, you're talking about something and you're like, I don't think we're going to make this goal. Or you're like, oh, it'll take a while to reach this donation goal. So I'll put it here now and blah, blah. And you don't realize that there's a Wabber lurking.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's like,
and then suddenly you look up and you've got some sort of alerts going off. And you're like, what's this about? 10,089% of a hype train. That can't be right. What's happened here? There's some sort of broken. Oh, it's because Wabber donated 69 subs.
Yep, that's it. And then all of a sudden, it's just like Wabberjack, just with the John Cena music.
Out of nowhere!
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it's just like, Jesus, like, what the hell? Oh, it's amazing. We love you, Wabber. We do. And yes, I'll never doubt you. Understand this. No matter what I say to Rob, I never doubt you. Please. I don't even know what you guys would do. I don't. And what's worse is I never actually, because individually, I don't think either of you would do anything. Together, I'm actually a little worried. Because I am a little, okay, fine. But I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be good. I'll wear it. Look, I mean, freaking champ. Solid champion made here, right here. That's how it is. Okay, so guys, because we have 122 people in chat right now, we're gonna go one last round of questions. We were gonna end reasonably soon, but let's do one last round of questions. So if you've got any questions for Robert Hartley or myself, write into chat the word question, followed by your question. It can be anything about role-playing games, some of the stuff we're doing. And while we are collecting these questions, let's go with an anecdotal story. The first time you and I met was after you had done a Starlight game with Dread. What was that game like? What was it like getting invited to the game? Like walk us through the process of being invited to a because had you been invited to like other special guest appearances prior to that point?
Which game was it?
The Starlight one, like the one with Robert and stuff.
Oh yeah, Robert, that one. Okay, so that was the first Kren game. So that was me making. Yeah, all right. So that was the first time. Yeah, that was the first time I had guest starred, if you want to even call it that.
I'll call it guest star
on anyone's channel.
Yeah. So what was it like? Like what was it like getting the message from Dread? What was Dread's message even like? And yeah, walk us through this.
I wonder if I even still have the messages. If I scroll back high enough on the thing here. Dreaded GM. Let's open up my private Discord with him, and then let's just scroll up at the fastest speed that my computer will allow, and just see how far back this messages go. Because I genuinely don't remember. We've met. We've known each other so long now, and it's been like 3 years or something. It can't be that long. 2 years.
I was gonna say. I feel like this is our second year.
2 years, yeah. Okay, it has to have been 2 years because I've obviously only been streaming for about 2 years. All right, let's see then. The first message between me and Dread was on the 14th of July 2020, so coming up to 2 years. So I said, the first thing we said was I invited him to do like a fireside DM chat with the two of us, which still hasn't happened. But that was the first invite to being like a collaboration, was me inviting him to come on to essentially what would have been a short rest stream before short rests existed. Would you be down to have a collaboration stream at some point, just to chat, to talk about anything that comes up? And he said in block capitals, "I was thinking about doing the same thing." Haha, sorry for the excitement. And then he said, I've been a little nervous to reach out because I didn't want to overstep, but I think that would slay. Epic vibes, 100% yes, blah, blah, blah. So he was obviously keen. And that was the start of our collaborations. When he actually invited me on, I've no idea, like when would it have been? It's been so long. I don't know. Because the thing is, you don't know. I've always thought this was funny about like the people who become super important in your life. You don't necessarily know right away that they're going to be super important in your life. So the point of meeting them, the point that you met, or the point that you started to like hang out more, it kind of just happens and goes by without your brain thinking that it's important enough to make a note of it. And so I genuinely often forget when it was that I met certain people, or when it was that we started to actually become friends or whatever. So it's kind of fun that Discord has a record of it all.
It is kind of cool. I definitely think one of the interesting elements is it is exactly that. You never know who is going to change your life. So you've always got to kind of be open to the universe, you know,
open to any of them changing your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't be there for everyone. I mean, that's the key thing. I think this is one thing I say about, you know, our friendship as well, is we don't need to talk every day. Right? Like we know where we sit, we know where we are, and anytime one of us reaches out, it's an immediate like thing. And that's okay because that's how the world needs to work, right? You can't demand your time from other people, you know. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you're not in high school anymore, you know.
I found when it was 2 weeks later, Dread sent me a message saying, "I think I have the perfect first collaboration opportunity for us on my channel for a good cause. Next month is Starlight. We'll be running a host of things to blah, 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 blah," and he invited me on.
Can I just say,
epic.
Can I just say it is incredibly typical of the two of you to have planned a collab and then 2 weeks later do something completely different.
Yeah.
So it's so on point. I'm like, oh my God, you have not changed. The both of you have not changed in like 2 years.
It was the first message was, would you be keen to do a collab at some point, maybe something like this? And then 2 weeks later he says, yeah, let's do this thing. That's perfectly normal.
And where's that fireside chat?
It's coming. He's on the list. He's on the list of guests for Short Rest. I don't plan on dying anytime soon, so there's time.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
He's on the list of guests that are going to come on to. And if you keep running your mouth, you're going to get taken off that list. So fucking watch it.
Look, I get paid to run my mouth.
I'm not going to short rest with you, you wanker.
Well, no, because there's no such thing as a short rest with me, mate. It's a girthy rest. Thank you.
And you guys finally get the chance to rest. Excellent. Is that a short rest or a girthy rest? Which one are we taking? I'm going to say long rest. Thanks.
Well, sometimes it's not about the length, Rob.
So
Michael getting too defensive on that.
Yeah. So he invited me on. I said, sounds like an epic collab. While I'm keen to try co-GM things, because that was another idea we were throwing around, co-GMing something. Blah blah blah. I'm free that day. Yada yada yada. I think I can make it work if I move this thing around. Just lots of logistic stuff, and then it was locked in. And so yeah, I mean it was impressive that I had made a friend in the D&D Twitch community quickly enough that I could start doing some collab stuff. But it wasn't like I was hesitant about accepting him, taking him on his offer at all. It's not like I was like, yes, but how much are you going to pay me for my appearance cost, or like are you able to fill my rider or whatever. Like it's we were both just coming up together. We both at that time had about the same number of followers, and we were kind of increasing at the same rate. So we were it was a normal understandable thing that we would both do some collabs together. And I was like, yeah, man, keen. Yeah. It was kind of run of the mill, as it were, almost.
Oh, that's so good. I like that. I love that for you guys. I was recommended by to Dread by Guy from How to Be a Great GM. He basically turned around and said, hey, have you heard of this dude? And I said, nah.
So Guy, how did Guy know about Dread?
I think it was either well, no, it wouldn't have been a raid. Guy doesn't raid anyone.
What a wanker. Fuck him.
No. He's just a Luddite. He has no idea how to.
I only just learned a bunch of my slash commands yesterday. I've been streaming for 2 years. I only just the other day learned that I can do slash requests and pull up my request queue.
I figured out slash poll the other day.
We're getting there. Totes professional streamers.
Yeah, exactly. We should send Dread over to get Just Mystery with New Zealand. Yes, Mima, please, Mima, send Dread.
Do it.
Yep.
Do it.
Yep. Links Mima, by the way, is obviously
Links Mima.
Links Mima, and we love you, and I want you to know that. And it's always fun to message Mima and get into shenanigans behind Dread's back.
Shenanigans.
All right, we got some questions from chat. Now we missed a question earlier, so I'm bumping this question up. But what is the difference between the 4 lives? You said the first was humanoid, but Chef was still able to starve in the third.
So then,
before being undead in the fourth.
It wasn't like actually like he wasn't born and died. I don't mean it in a literal sense of lives, but 4 very distinct and different stages of his life. Is that his first life was the one that he barely remembers. He was human or humanoid, human-like of some kind, and he presumably lived on the material plane. I deliberately didn't come up with backstory for that part because my character doesn't know it, and I don't want to be influenced by things that my character doesn't necessarily know. Then the second life was very much a distinctive point. It was the very point that he entered the Shadowfell for the first time. Again, that still is tied to the first life, so I don't know. I didn't come up with reasons as to why he went to the Shadowfell for the first time. But once he was there, that denoted the second major stage of his life, in that he started getting influenced by the depression and the lack of emotion and the fear and hatred and all of those nasty emotions of the Shadowfell. Those started to seep into him. All of his shadow magic started to be awoken within himself. He became a shadow sorcerer at that point. And he started to unlock psychic magic. That denoted his second life. He, at some point during that second life, he developed animosity with this bad guy, or this other guy. Maybe he's not a bad guy, but he developed a rivalry and enemies, nemesis with this other guy who eventually it came to loggerheads. It culminated with them being attacking each other, and something went down, and I was captured. At that point of capture, that denotes the third major stage of his life, which is the many years that he spent being tortured, being stabbed to death in a dungeon underneath this guy's house or wherever the hell he was. That was the third stage of his life, him being tortured into becoming undead. At some non-delineated point during that time, he transitioned into being an undead. And then the fourth major stage of his life was the point at which he escaped. The means of that escape is still yet to be fleshed out with Dag, but he at some point many years ago escaped from his confinement, and his fourth life has been ever since. He escaped from his confinement, he escaped from the Shadowfell, came back to the material plane, and he's been living as this chef, this undead chef ever since.
So a very multifaceted history, which and I love it when people write like that, because it means that as a GM, I've got like a lot more materials to be able to work around and add into the story and manipulate. And I know that a player like Rob is going to be open to these ideas and sort of go with them, which I think is just a better way of doing stuff.
Yeah.
Also, Mimar, I did get your message, and yes, straight up. Also, you can tell Dredd that I do still check my phone and still reply on stream because I'm a good boy. Okay, just saying. All right, next question from Fancy Unicorn. Question: what is your favorite fear, Dag? Asking for a question. My favorite fear, as in a fear that I enjoy exploring, is predation. Nothing is more terrifying than something hunting you for no other reason than survival. I think we as human beings have placed ourselves in bubbles that we believe protect us. But like, for example, one of the biggest fears I have for my pets, for example, is literally being snatched up by an eagle. Nothing brings me more terror than the idea.
Is that a possibility in Perth?
Yeah, we have
around that will
well, look,
run away
okay,
with your pet.
so we have falcons in my literal area, right? They're not big enough to take my cats. My cats are a little bit heavy. They could kill them easy. But we do have West Coast eagles, which are freaking massive. And you know, for those of you in America, they are bigger than American bald eagles. Like they are massive. That being said,
fly away with you.
Yeah. Well, actually, they do prey upon kangaroos, for example. Like,
whoa,
yeah, they're massive.
You gotta have big balls on you to parent a kangaroo.
Oh yeah, no, they're freaking huge. And yeah, so like crocodiles and sharks and all of these animals, like the idea of like man versus wild is such an interesting concept, and I love playing with it in D&D because a lot of D&D monsters tend to go into like a mentality of I fight to the death. But why? Why do you fight to the death? And I love the idea of predation because
I just got an image of like a manticore jumping out at you, and you just like put on your Freud.
But why? Why are you attacking
put on
me?
a mustache and sit down on one of those long couches.
What is your relationship with your mother?
The bottom of this.
Yeah, I love it when I can feel the motivation there. And even with the manticore, right? Like you got too close to the manticore's nest. Perfect. I get the idea. It's a territory thing.
Yeah.
To alleviate ourselves from the situation, we have to leave the territory. This creature is hungry. Okay, this creature is hungry, meaning that it'll attack us. But if we present more energy exerted than he would gain from nutrition from eating us, it would likely back off. If, however, it is in a desperate, starved state, that's an entirely different thing. That is a fight to the death scenario, you know. And I love just the different dichotomies of it, while at the same time I find it absolutely terrifying. What about you, Rob? Any favorite fears?
Favorite fear?
Yeah, favorite fear.
I have been listening to the Magnus Archives. I don't know if you know it, but it's an anthology podcast series, a lot like kind of the SCP world, individual stories of horror and thrill aspect, but there's like a through line to them all. And there are like in that podcast, there's like every one of the individual stories, individual horror stories revolves around one of 14 fundamental fears, and they kind of outlined them in a more recent episode. The fear of being watched, the fear of being controlled, the fear of pestilence and disease and bugs, the fear of being hunted, I think was one of the main fundamental fears. All kinds of stuff. And the fear of the dark, of course, was a fundamental one. I really enjoyed the way that they broke that down into 14 kind of fundamental fears that humans and other animals have. Of those, my favorite one would be the fear of being controlled, the fear of helplessness, the fear of feeling like somebody is you are forced to be manipulated by things. In terms of like, that's my favorite in terms of being able to use it in D&D, being able to use it in my storytelling, because I make no secret of the fact that I really enjoy hags and hag storylines, and the fact that they can manipulate you and trick you into things, and not even trick you into things, but just straight up tell you this: if you give me this, I'll give you this, and then make you so desperate for it that even though you know it's a bad deal, you're going to take it anyway. That helplessly being forced into being controlled.
Mm-hmm. Does the helplessness play in, or what about like ultimatums? You know what I mean, like where it's like do this or this person will die. You know, kind of.
I like those quite a bit, but I think that is a sense of an aspect of helplessness, because if you were able to avoid that other ways, then it's no longer an ultimatum. So if you are in an ultimatum where you have to do a thing that you don't want to do in order to prevent something worse, then that's an aspect of helplessness. You are in a position where you're being forced into this position.
That's cool. I do like that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Fear of bugs is always a good one to nice, easy, quick one to throw in there.
Yeah, bugs are definitely, especially if you can start playing around with sensations, especially touch as a sensation, a great one to use for role-playing games.
Yeah, the creeping nature of something coming up your arm, yeah. Question: what's the best way to get yourself, a beginner DM, and your beginner players into the role-playing side of things?
Run a game?
Yeah, run a game.
I don't know how helpful that is.
Specifically ask them in words, can we try role-playing some more? I'd like for us to role-play a bit more. And then make sure that you're role-playing as the DM. Instead of asking anything in third person, ask it in first and second person. Instead of saying the shopkeeper asks you what he can do for you today, say you walk in and the shopkeeper says to you, what can I do for you today? Ask it in character. Just put on the character. If you as the DM want to try role-playing more, that's entirely within your court. That's you role-play more. And the more you role-play, the more your players will.
Yeah, and keeping in mind, if you want to as well, don't punish your players for not role playing. Because here's the thing: while it is more entertaining, it is not necessarily the best way that person is going to have fun with that role playing game. You know, maybe some people just aren't theater people. They aren't like the performery people. Hey, Nixolotl, nice to see you. Welcome in. Nixolotl, a wonderful art streamer and friend of the channel. Yay, Nix Raid. But yeah, we were talking about like how as a beginner GM you can encourage your players to roleplay. So yeah, as Rob says, you doing it and showing an example of it is always great. But remember that whenever we roleplay, we're kind of wearing like a form of our artistic side on our sleeves, and sometimes that can be very subject to people's emotions. Like, you know, if people don't really feel comfortable, or if people don't feel you know,
big thing actually is if somebody is confident enough to try role playing, you shut down any attempt to role play. No, you
shut down the role play. You shut it down.
Even if it's joking or just joshing around, shut down any teasing of that person's role play. Don't allow it to pass. If somebody tries role playing and then somebody goes, "Oh man, what's with that accent?" No. You just be like, "No, we're not poking fun or making comments about accents, even if it's done in jest, because it can encourage a feeling of like, shame, 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 you tried to do a thing."
Absolutely. You definitely want to.
Those,
it's about creating a welcoming environment. It's about that, and that's ultimately it. You can set the scene, as Rob says, and you can make sure that people know that they can come to drink at the well that is role playing. But you know, ultimately, it is up to those players and things. If you want to encourage people individually, I mean, running a couple of like solo things, like I've done this before in the past, where I've taken one of my players on a side quest away from the group, and I've just, you know, arranged the time to sit with that player and just run something, and they were more comfortable role playing in a one-on-one scenario than in a group one, which helped build up a little bit of the chops that they needed before they dove straight in. So sometimes if that works, I mean, that's another avenue you can explore. Yeah.
What's your favorite character class and why? Mine's possibly monks, just because they were my first, and you never forget your first. And I think they're really overpowered and fun, and they're not magical. They're a very unique class. I really enjoy them.
I like the kineticist because it's not in D&D.
What is it?
Kineticist.
What is it?
It's basically so a kineticist is an element bender. In D&D 3.5, there used to be a class called the Wujin, who used to control nature and stuff. They were very monistic, and then in Pathfinder they evolved into like these elemental controllers. So you basically pick an element, and they're a constitution based spellcaster, and you could just fire an indefinite amount of blasts. Thank you, Rob. You could fire an indefinite amount of blasts, almost like Eldritch blasts, and then you could add extra stuff to it based on what element you used. So if you wanted to, you could basically make, you know, like Katara and like use water to heal, or you could use earth and then make like a stone mallet out of like rock and then just go clobber someone in the face.
It's clobbering time.
It was a crazy versatile class. It's one of my favorite ones because you can not only affect the environment, you can be like a melee guy, a caster, a rogue, whatever. Like again, if you were a rogue and you had the there was a void element, you could actually create an area of darkness, and you can increase people's gravity so that they walk slower. around you. You know, it's crazy stuff you could do with it. So yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. Newbie Goddess asks, can't you trim the bushes under your window? Asking for a friend. I don't know. Look, my windows are blacked out. I mean, I don't have bushes under my window.
I think maybe there's a context there that we're not getting.
Maybe. I thought it was one of yours.
I don't know. No.
Very well. In which case,
under your window.
Maybe.
No idea what you're going for there. No, we got us.
But you could. But if you want to, you could always trim the bushes around your dick.
Yeah. So what I was thinking, it was something about.
Yeah, make your dick look a little bit bigger. You know.
Yeah. You gotta have a big dick. You gotta have a big dick for when your friends come around and want to sit on it. And
yeah.
Have
Speaking of our friends, we Dreaded GMs just jumped into chat.
What up, Dread?
What up, Dread?
We definitely weren't talking about you.
Yeah, no, we weren't. Not at all.
Before.
We weren't making plans with Mima or anything.
No, definitely not.
Oh, also, by the way, I didn't mention it, but behold, the behind me, I've made a scene at a tavern. So you've got like behind my head, which is obscuring it very obnoxiously, is Rob's character of Shem.
Bloody obnoxious.
We have Quincy's character of Salin. We have Dread's character of dang it. I keep thinking Bad Ham, but I know it's not Bad Ham. It is Basilin? Basilin? No, it's not. Definitely not Basilin. Oh god, what is it?
Dread's bad?
Yeah. It was called Bobbin. There we go.
Bobbin.
Yep. Bobbin. And we have Scorch. That's right. Scorch is narrator's grill master. I didn't realize how short everyone was, but like it's really funny like seeing the two short characters like talking.
Tiny fairy, a hobbit, a average-ish human, tiny, skinny average human, and then a big
whopper
fire elemental. How big is Scorch?
He is 6'2".
Oh, so he's a tall fella.
He's a big fella. Yes, Link's Mimar is right. We are sending. So when I come to New Zealand, Josh is going to come as well. So we're both going to come bug you. Yep, cool. That'll be the plan. Yeah, last time. Yeah. Okay, so last question for the day. Here we go. Question from Calindria. Question: we all know Dag is the brains, Dread is the heart, and Rob is the face. Hideous though it may be. Wow. The question: when are we getting the Power GM stream team? The short answer is earlier on today we leaked an idea, a concept that we were working on, and we are we're working on it. We're working on it. It's tricky because between all of the stuff that we're doing right now, it's about trying to find time to discuss stuff. We know that we obviously love each other very much and want to continue making games and stuff, and we will. But for the most part, I think the only thing we've got at the moment is Sirens and Silver. But then we're looking at what's going to come beyond that once we get to the other side.
Plans. We've got plans.
Yeah, there are definitely plans. The biggest plan I think we have right now is PAX Australia, where we're going to go. I think we can announce some stuff with that, can't we?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So currently the plan is that we're not going to be hosting any major events at the con. That is to say, we're not planning to. This may change between now and then, but right now we've decided that because this is technically Robert's very, very, very first con that he'll be attending, that rather than us working the con, Dread, Rob, and I will simply be attending the con as people, as
experience what it's like.
Yeah, human
plebs.
Human flesh blobs is what we're going to be going as, and what we'll actually do is we'll probably have some events lined up. For those people who want to meet us and hang out after the con or around or certain places, maybe even a dinner or a lunch, an escape room, some karaoke, lots of cool fun activities, which we'll be discussing. So that is our next big plan. So yeah, so anyone who's going to be going there, let us know, and we'll chalk in some times and let you guys know what's happening there. But for the time being, however, we have well and truly exceeded our time. thank you.
Only by 50%.
Only by 50%. But yes, so thank you once again, everyone, for coming and joining us today. I hope that you guys had a absolutely wonderful time. It was great getting to hang out with you, and obviously always great hanging out with Rob. Any last things you would like to plug or pitch or tell our folks at home?
No, I don't think I've got anything particular coming up. Just head over to my my channel, Robert Hartley GM, and drop a follow, and you'll be notified next time I go live. We're reading through Volo's Guide to Monsters on a couple of days a week. We are doing Twitch Tales every week. We're about to get to the end of an arc, very exciting arc. We have short rests every other week on Saturdays where I interview guests, kind of like we've done here today. We'll see if Dazzy Gamer can hold his spot. Depends on how trollish that will the mural wall is going to be.
All
to
comes
whether or
down
not
to the
I
mural
ever
wall.
actually invite him on. This weekend I'll be talking with this weekend. This weekend I think I might be talking with Luna. Next Saturday, so the next short rest 2 weeks after that is Mindari, I think. And then Hops and Dragons is probably 2 weeks after that. So I've got a few guests, cool guests lined up.
Amazing.
Lots of things happening. Just come and check out my my Twitch channel for when all of that happens.
And for those of you who don't know where to find, for those of you who don't know where to find Robert Hartley, Robert Hartley GM. I hopefully spelled it right. Yeah, there I did.
You did.
Whew. All right, yeah. So, as for me, what am I doing next? I will be on this evening for Curse of Strahd, as always. Then I will be back maybe tomorrow for a Dag Reads, which is a thing I'm only doing once because I don't like reading, but I have to, and so I'm doing it on stream so that I can motivate myself. I'm honest. I'll tell you how it is. Where we're finishing off Seeker's Guide to Twisted Taverns, which is amazing. So I might stream a little bit of that in the morning. And then on Friday, we'll be back with Ruby Phoenix, which is my Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign featuring some Asian themes and stuff like that. And then Saturday, I'm going to be on Quincy's Tavern, in Quincy's Tavern, which is amazing, playing Aki, who is a fire dancing sorcerer with the Draconic Bloodline, because I thought to myself, I want to make a Draconic Bloodline sorcerer who actually doesn't give two damns about dragons. And so that was literally it. It's just, no, don't care about dragons. Forget about it. All right, we are going to go and raid.
Bluff has just said, CC wants me to tell you to not end the stream yet.
What? Okay, I won't end the stream yet, I guess.
So you're getting a raid coming in from CC?
Yeah, I'm getting a raid coming in from CC. I was actually literally just about to go raid him. Fine. We will hold on.
It's a matter of who can get there first.
Who will raid who first? No, I won't win that one if he's raiding.
I used to do that with Brit a lot when we would play games together. And I'd be like, I'm going to end then. See you later, everybody. And I'd quickly go raid.
Go raider.
She'd be like, damn it, now I have to stick around.
Nice. Okay, fine. I will hang on. And then what I will do is on the way. No, it's fine. We'll go and raid Perception Studios. So Perception Studios are a wonderful group of performers. They are great friends of ours from Los Angeles. They have their own studio. They have their own stuff. And of course, they have a group of felted friends who we like to play with from time to time, which I need to get them back on. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've played around with them. It's been a while since we've hung out. Dread. Sorry. Oh, savage. Hey, there they are. Careful cantrip.
Careful cantrip? What the hell?
I did not expect you. Oh my god, this is so wonderful. Welcome in, guys.
You had a spy in your midst.
Yeah, you do. You have a spy. You have a spy that's came in and said, "Hey, they're gonna raid you." And it's like, okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you guys raiding us. Hi guys, my name's Michael, Dead Aussie Gamer. Nice to see you guys. By the way, I know it's a bit presumptuous, but I if you can hit the follow button, come follow me later, because I've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I got a lot of cool, interesting things that I know you're gonna be interested in if you are a careful cantripper yourself. And in addition, go follow Robert Hartley GM. We are both wonderful and amazing performers in the RPG space. Good friends of course, the amazing and wonderful DM Dave. Now, also, by the way, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm gonna say this because I can. Secret scoops, secret scoops. After the conclusion of the next arc that is currently happening for the Careful Cantrip team, I will be donating some of my time to come and be with.
What?
And come and one shot for the Careful Cantrip team. So
man, jealous.
We haven't set a date yet, but I definitely will. And you know, who knows? Maybe I'll drag a robber around with me. Just grab him by the head and be like, "Come on, we're going here."
I'm so jealous. I wish he'd also reached out to me and offered me the same thing, and I definitely had said yes to it. Oh,
look,
man.
I mean, just shush. It's my channel. I can just go. Oh, it's just fine, whatever. Anyway. Thank you guys for joining us. Do stick around because we are going to go and raid, because we are passing on our raid, and we do pass on our love. We're going to go raid the Perception Studio team. Perception Studios, wonderful group of performers, puppets, fun, great stuff. Right now, Dino is DMing Shaylin's Legacy. But one of the reasons why you want to stick around is because on my channel, there's tons of audience participation that you guys are going to be invited to. So channel points are a big part of that as well. So if you come to the raid, you get 250 channel points for doing what? Doing nothing? Yeah, hit the follow button. They come with the raid. You got like, what, 550 points straight up. So, thank you once again to our friend Robert Hartley, GM. It has been a pleasure, my friend.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, always. And if you ever want to come on, you just need to you know, maybe comb your hair. Like just
nah.
All right, guys.
Style.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for being wonderful. And as always, till the next time we meet, game hard or die trying.
Die trying.
Bye, everyone.